Hello, everybody, and welcome to... sorry, immediately broken.
Hello.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Infinite Horizon. We, uh... We, we've been back here just sort of ranting about stuff and, making, you know, sharing graveyard humor. It's fine. Anyway, hello, everybody, and welcome to Infinite Horizon. As you can see right now, we are down one Mr. Freeman. He is, he has been feeling like maybe there's a little bit of a unwellness creeping on him, so he decided to opt out of tonight's stream and stay the fuck home. So,
As you all should.
as you all should.
As you are capable.
As I think it was Amethyst Cat Lady on my when I was doing Fallout the other day, she said, "Step up and stay the fuck home." So
Yeah.
yep. So,
Do your duty.
but we're here tonight. It was looking shaky for a while as to whether or not we were gonna be here. Internet in my area it's a time. It's yeah. So
Is something going on over there, Lucas? Is what could be affecting it?
see, you joke, but the reality is that that at all times, even during the best times, we were like one step removed from this. So
Oh gosh, sorry.
our 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 the way I described it earlier in our group chat is like modern tech on top, supported by like charitably 80-year-old infrastructure. Add on top of that what's going on right now with the everybody at home and businesses and schools and shit happening online, and you've got just a wonderful disaster happening with our internet. So, also hello Freeman, who is in the chat. We miss you.
Freeman.
Um, all right. Well, we should get started because we've got a show to get to tonight. So
We have some escapism to indulge in.
yeah, so we very much appreciate all of those of you who are here with us tonight, and I hope everybody out there is staying healthy, drinking lots of water, getting lots of sleep, not going anywhere. I really hope that is your life right now, because honestly, that should be all of our lives right now. So, without any further ado, Henry, would you get us started on these announcements?
Oh, absolutely. Would I? Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight to step into this world with us for a while. All right, let's go. One great way, easy way to support us is to subscribe right here on, what is it called? Twitch, where we are affiliates. Another great way to do the very same thing is to check out our Patreon, where you will find supplemental stuff for our TTRPG shows, current and now concluded, and for the higher tier, a chance to take part in world building for our tabletop RPG shows. There's some of this stuff on there is available to everybody, not just patrons, so check it out. We also have a coffee now where you can swiftly, easily throw a couple bucks our way. And also see our short-term goals, but I think we have to update those soon.
Yes.
As in, should have done that already.
Yeah.
But,
Remember how we we specifically called ourselves out last stream so that we would do it and then didn't?
It's been a weird week.
It has been a weird week.
In a lot of ways.
In the words of Matt Colville yesterday was a hell of a week.
So. Yep.
God, I feel like every day has been 6 months.
I saw one this morning that was like, this morning was today. Feel old yet?
Anyway,
Galaxy brain.
We also have a YouTube where we upload Infinite Horizon, and in the past I've uploaded the character prologues for Infinite Horizon, so check that out. Infinite Horizon episodes are also available in podcast form on Anchor, and thereby on a bunch of other platforms. So check that out if that's your preferred way to listen to VODs.
Anchor Breaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, Radio Public, and as always, the RSS feed is available to you if you have another platform you'd like to use.
See, I was trying.
iTunes. Get back to me.
I was trying to memorize them myself, and I was going to surprise you with memorization. But I will be honest with you, I remembered exactly like 3 of the ones that you said. So,
The thing is, I have a leg up because they generally come in around about the same speed, and I did a podcast. I've been doing a podcast
Right.
for well over a year, so, and I use Anchor.
Yeah, Caitlin, the podcast guru. All right. Anything?
We also have a Discord where you can see our stream announcements, chat about the stuff you're working on, talk about whatever the heck you want. So join us there, please.
Yes. And also, more recently, a merch store, which you can get
Yes.
to by scrolling right down there, and just above our About section, there's a little banner that says something about merch, and you can click on that, and it'll take you to merch stores,
Oh
specifically
no!
ours.
Does Rule of Lore have something that I can drink hot liquid out of?
You know what, Olivia? We do. We have mugs.
Okay, good.
We also have items to cover your body with, like shirts and a hoodie to keep you warm.
Everything you could ever want.
You could also drink a cold liquid out of the mug, or if you found a weird bug in your house and you had an index card and the mug, you could catch it with those two objects.
Life
So
hacks
it's really
with
a
Henry Nolan.
versatile tool. It's a versatile tool.
It
Very
really
versatile
does a
merch.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Get
get
creative.
it. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can use it as a paperweight. You could use it. I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm not gonna do this bit. All right, so
Didn't we do the bit long enough, Lucas?
it's never long enough,
Never.
Olivia. It's not.
Okay.
The joke is not over until it is dead and buried in the ground.
Infinite Horizon scroll.
Exactly.
All right, so I feel like we're all a little bit on the punchy side today, which I'm frankly here for. So, all right, well, I think we're gonna get started now for real. So, unless anybody has anything else Olivia, you are published.
Oh yeah. So if you want to go and check out, thank you. If you want to go check out my latest poem, it's been published in Ghost City Review. They're a really, really cool press. They're all online. They do like chapbooks online, which are short books of poetry, and they publish an edition every single month. So it's really like up to date and current, which is really nice. And if you want to check out my poem, it's called, oh God, what is it called? It's called the gay bar is the only one not burning. That's what it's called. And it's on my Twitter. It's pinned. So if you want to check it out, just go to my Twitter, Dumb Books Though, and you can find it there.
John is currently posting it in the Discord as well. So
Oh, thank
we've
you,
got that.
John.
And I will say I read it. It is very good, and not to brag, but I was the first one to like it. So
Oh my God, my best fan.
yeah. So awesome. Well, congrats on publication, Olivia.
Thank you. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Caitlin, do you have anything coming up?
No.
No. All right.
I'll promo Stone Houses. You can find us at Stone Houses Cast on Twitter. We are a podcast, the tagline, an amateur guide to fiction, fable, and folklore. It's very fun. Our next topic is the moon, and it's going to be very fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it, to be honest. Henry, do you have any fun announcements for your life? Anything that?
No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All the shit that I was excited about is getting canceled, which is appropriate, right? It's an appropriate response
Yeah,
to what's happening right now,
Absolutely.
but there it is.
Well, good thing we're all online already. So
Hey,
Yeah,
there it
exactly.
is.
Except for this. There you
Except
go.
for this. Yep.
Almost, just barely.
Yeah, just barely, but we're still here.
All right.
We are safely playing games and creating content.
Yes. All right. Well,
From
before we get started,
across
I
the
would like
country.
to wish our moderator, Nico, a good night. Have a good sleep, Nico. Thanks for popping in.
bye. We'll see you on the VOD.
See you on the VOD. Hello, VOD Nico. All right. We're going to transition into our intro. So let's go ahead and get into tonight's episode.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let it go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows.
chat.
And we're back. welcome back, everybody.
You missed nothing.
Not really. All right. Well, this is the part of the stream where I say goodbye to chat for a few minutes, a few minutes until break time.
For 3 hours.
For like, yeah. All right. So anyway, nope. Hold on. I know how to tab things. Okay, here we go. So, ooh, and today I actually have music set up, so I don't have to go looking for it, so I can just play it. It's great. I think. Okay, so. Hey, it's working. All right, cool.
Yes.
So, previously on Infinite Horizon, did it get loud all of a sudden?
That's great.
Okay,
You can-
cool. All right. So our team, after escaping some pretty nasty situations on the colony world, now glassed by the very corporation that set up the colony in the first place, in order to seemingly to cover up some of the experiments gone wrong, or maybe right there. They escaped to the neutral city of Sulon, which is located inside of a hollowed-out asteroid, a bit of an anomaly in the galaxy. They went there seeking a place to sort of set down, enact some repairs on their ship, and hopefully get some time to stop, think for a moment, and figure out what was going on and how to proceed. However, this was interrupted by a news broadcast that showed them all stating them all to be terrorists, in fact responsible for the colony destruction on the rim of space, framing them for some pretty serious stuff. They were pursued through the streets and rescued by a mysterious individual who revealed herself to be an individual by the name of Zaya, who led them to another individual named Wire, who was the one responsible for the ship that they woke from cryosleep on arriving in time to see the wrongdoings that were taking place at this colony. Wire explained to them some of the things that have been going on, that the corporations and indeed other governments seem to be planning for some impending incident, no record of which is to be found anywhere other than the records of preparations, transactions being moved around, just information starting to flow, rumors in kind of back channel rumors being sort of floated around about something coming down the line, and all of it centered around the corporations in some way. Wire revealed to them furthermore that the corporations were creating genetically altered individuals such as themselves, powered individuals, as a means of basically creating super soldier weapons to sell to the highest bidder in preparation for what seemingly more and more so a coming conflict. Everybody after digesting this information for a period of time, got the means together to, Wire provided the means to mask their transmissions from their ship, as well as a blank registry so that for their vessel, so that it could pass undetected by Silverbreak Technologies and their subsidiaries. And they set up a means by which the colonists that they did manage to rescue from the colony could be safely sent back into maybe not their original lives, but at least some form of safety, hopefully. A return to the vessel and some repairs, and later, Zaya asked if she would give her a lift to meet with some of her contacts who had gone silent recently, and Jade, the young boy who was one of the colonists, opted to stay with them on their vessel, as well as the doctor, the somewhat acerbic doctor, she's Anzalonian? Yeah, she's Anzalonian. Abriel.
She's awesome.
Yep. Who they have opted to stay on the vessel. They're Jade feeling like he had nowhere else to go, really. And Abriel, with no real explanation, just decided to tag along. As repairs were underway, however, Zaya got back to them, informing them that she was on her way to them, but that some Silverbreak ships had been detected making dock at Sulon, and that Zaya had herself been attacked by some bounty hunters, professionals, not like those who had accosted them in the streets earlier.
And mentioned oh so casually.
So, I believe that is where we left off. So, with all that in mind, Bina, you have just heard the news from Zaya. Or actually, no, it was Olem who heard it first. Olem was the one who heard it.
And then put it over the loudspeaker,
Right.
yeah.
So,
Oh yes, yeah.
Bina, you'd felt that same sort of spike of anxiety from around you, just sort of at this right before hearing Olem's report. So, at this point, there's sort of this tense moment of silence while everybody sort of takes it all in, and suddenly, Bina, your and Jade's eyes meet, and he just says, "Okay, we gotta go fast."
Let's go. Okay. Start running.
Yeah. So the two of you just start like mad dash around the engine room, starting to make finishing touches on the repairs. So we're gonna start this episode off with a roll for some repairs.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
So this is going to be, I'm gonna say this will be a.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be a speed roll, and it's because right now it's not
Okay.
so much about your ability to enact the repairs because they're relatively simple ones now that you have everything you need. It's more
Okay.
about how quickly you can get them together.
Excellent.
The difficulty on this is going to be 4.
Okay. All right. Speed roll. Does my mechanical working with ships as a person who maintenances engines help me?
Yes.
I know my way around this engine or engines.
Aren't you? Yeah. We'll say.
I mean,
yes.
that's one of my skills. So I'm asking if that helps.
Yeah,
my backstory
absolutely. No,
mechanic.
definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay,
I'm also gonna, because Jade is helping you. You get to treat Jade as an asset here.
Jade is an asset.
And for those wondering hold that thought, Olivia, just real quick, because for those wondering at home, because I meant to bring this up before, I know that like in the Cypher system rule, those familiar with the Cypher system, in the Cypher system rules, this is technically not how assistance works, but I've sort of house ruled it in a different way. So basically, anybody can assist anybody in it for a reduction of difficulty. But they have to be able to justify what they're doing in order to help, essentially. So, for those of you who are watching at home and are familiar with the Cypher system and the rules
Our
on
game, our
assistance,
rules.
yeah. So,
Okay.
so that's
Any
2 reductions right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any perception task that involves sight and figuring out what needs to be done, what needs to be prioritized, does that give me anything?
I'm gonna say no in this case because right now
Okay.
you've already done the diagnostic part of it. You're
Fair,
just sort of
fair.
doing the mechanical part of it now.
Okay.
Can like Olem and I help in any way to be an out? Like, can we? I don't know if we can even do anything. I feel like we
Yeah,
just
you
get in the
guys
way,
are out
actually.
there. So I recently took the advancement that gave me a new edge, and I just took an edge in speed.
Hey.
So I'm going to spend my 1 effort that I can do for this,
Aight.
and that's just a 2 spend now. So I'm gonna get it down to a 3.
Okay, sounds good. So
All right.
now it's difficulty 1, 3 or better. Is that where we're at?
Oops.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Yeah. Okay. 13.
All right. So you quickly,
Forearms flying.
yeah, you and Jade basically are a whirlwind. Like my personal headcanon is at some point, like Olem like walks into the to the engine room, and it's just this whirlwind of activity as the two of them are just like walking around at one point without even like synergizing perfectly, like to the point where Bina just sort of holds out a hand and Jade's already placing a tool in one of her hands, and they're just sort of going back and forth like this. It's amazing as you're just watching this happen. You're like can't come down, like, okay, they don't need help clearly, and then
Yeah. Hey, does anybody? All right.
yep.
It helps when like the person you're working with can also feel your intentions a little bit. So like,
Yeah, yep, definitely. So, as the two of you set to work. In the meantime, Olem and Peach, what are you doing at the moment?
Both of us were thinking.
I want to from the door, the like gangplank or whatever to our ship. If you stand at that entrance inside the ship, can you see the entrance that people would most likely come through to come into this hangar? Would you say?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty open. Like the hangar itself is pretty open.
Okay.
So it's yeah. So the answer is yes, kind of, because you can see most entrances.
Okay, I sort of want to play the same role as before. I want to post up there and like act as like sentinel, let people know as soon as Zaya is here or anybody unexpected.
Okay.
Just like
Sounds
have
good.
my communicator like ready to do that.
Sure thing. Okay. So
and
you
ready to close the gate and close the plank to the ramp.
okay, yeah. So you just you post up just at the top of the ramp, just sort of crouching down to see under, kind of looking towards the front of the ship. You see a lot of activity on the hangar bay. Just sort of dock workers moving stuff as they basically have been this whole time. Just unloading cargo and moving stuff around. A few of them you can see are repair crews. Right now, everything looks pretty normal, but if the past couple of days have taught you anything, it's how quickly that can change.
Truly.
So, meantime, Peach, what are you up to?
I don't know what I can do that's super helpful at this point. Do we have any like cameras on the ship at all, or is that not a thing that we have?
Like,
I just realized I never I was just wondering if we had any way to like monitor if people is there only one. I just want to make sure we're not getting anyone sneaking on the ship, basically,
Gotcha.
is what I was worried about, because we're just docked and people are like looking for us.
Sure.
And so...
I mean, there is absolutely a security station on the bridge that you can
I think we used that on the colony. I used a video feed to see outside the ship before.
Yeah. So
that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, you've got
and
both.
Also just to see.
You've
Okay.
got both interior and exterior views from there. So is that where you are right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Peach kind of wants to keep an eye on everything, basically. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. At one point, Olem, you're just sort of standing there, and you hear kind of a clatter behind you, and as you turn, you see Abriel, and you see like a crate that she was holding has just sort of spilled its contents onto the decking, as she says, sorry, some of the Coleman picked up some medical supplies for me, and I was just taking them back to the med bay, but don't worry about it, I got it. And she's just sort of like starts putting stuff back into the crate. And
Can I lift them up off the ground and into the crate
sure, yeah. Well,
using gravity?
yeah,
Just
just sort of this moment of
Oh, none of these people have seen any of our powers.
no,
have they?
not at all. So all of a sudden, as she's like bending down to start putting stuff in the crates, a few of them just start lifting. She's like, "What the?" She's looking.
And I want it to be like I'm actually reaching to help her physically, and it starts to happen like it's like a tendril of my will enacted on the physical world.
Okay.
And I'm like surprised at first, but then I just like lean back and let it continue to happen.
Yeah, so both of you just stand there and just sort of watch as the contents of the crate just start slowly lifting themselves up into the air and then just neatly starting to stack themselves inside. And then sort of like less neat as things go on, as you're just sort of watching this and become a little bit more aware of it. Having done it reflexively, it just sort of came to you, but now as you're like realizing that you're doing it, you're just sort of starting to lose a little bit of control and precision, but they just sort of start stacking themselves inside. And as after a moment you just stand there, she looks down and she looks at you. She says, "Well, I mean, none of them are in the right order, but
Sorry,
no, that's...
kind of distracted.
She picks up the crate and looks inside. She says, yeah, she just turns and walks out of the... She just turns and leaves.
We'll talk more later. Okay. All right. Okay.
You turn, and as you do, you actually see Zaya rushing across the hangar towards the ship.
Okay. As soon as I see that, I just like broadcast ship wide if I can. It was like, all right, Zaya's in the hangar en route to ship.
Mm-hmm. As soon as you finish that broadcast, you see as she runs, she kind of glances over her shoulder, and immediately you notice that in her hand she has a pistol in her hand. As she looks over her shoulder and just fires wildly over her shoulder and just keeps running.
Oh no!
Time to close the hangar door.
Like,
Close the hangar.
Pursued by unknown targets.
And
Can I see the people at all, like on the camera that I have pulled up?
by this point, like you can see Zaya just entering your field of view on the camera as she's running, just catching her just as she's firing wildly over her shoulder. As she rushes,
I bet she looks so cool.
she runs and just like dives behind like a whole bunch of crates, just as both of you watch a mixture of projectiles and lasers fire directly towards where she just was. One of the crates that's just above her, you see as one of the lasers goes through it and just vaporizes one of the corners of it.
Wow,
and she just
that
like
would've been
scrambles.
me if I were there.
And she like pulls herself up behind the crate, and she like looks towards the ship, makes eye contact with Olem, and then just sort of, and then just leans over and just fires over the top without looking.
I try to like indicate, like, come here, get in.
I love her.
So cool.
So
What's the status of the engine? Are we good? Am I done? Do I have to, like, am I still working on this?
at this point, you and Jade pause just long enough to like acknowledge that each of you heard the same thing, and he says, he looks around. I think I got the rest of this. Go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give him an encouragement.
Okay.
So whatever he has to do, he'll get an asset for it. The next.
All right.
Just for whatever. And Bina fucking books it. You know, like when you like, in like a cartoon, when you take off too fast, and it's kind of like she's using like all of her limbs to like get herself moving forward right away.
There's like the dust, like.
Yeah.
Like
and she books it up to the
windmilling,
bridge. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So, you're just booking it down the hallway as you're through the corridors of the ship. At one point, like turning a corner and like almost running smack into Abriel as she's just like, excuse you, and she just keeps, and as you just keep running.
She uses like going around corners. She takes like both like right arms and swings like her entire body weight around the corner to like keep going.
God, I'm
so
picturing,
cool.
I'm picturing like a scene with like one of the more narrow corridors as you like come around the corner, like
Dutch angle.
Yeah, two arms on the wall, your feet kind of running along the side as you just like reorient yourself and just keep running.
Yep. She's fast. That's
Yeah.
what she does.
Yeah. So yeah, just sort of reaching the cockpit, you reach there, you just kind of swing yourself over the seat.
Yep, into the seat.
And just sort of slide into it and just start click, 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 buttons pressing around you. Meanwhile, down on the at the hold level, Olem, you're just starting to see through in your field of view, starting to see some of the pursuers, some of Zaya's pursuit. Most of them, your aunt has showed you before some still images, some pictures of like her crew from her mercenary days, and these individuals are outfitted very similarly in similar fashion, right? Like they've got like the armor armor vests on. They've got weapons head to toe. It seems like most of them you can't even see their faces because they've got these tactical helmets on, and every image that you've ever conjured in your brain of mercenaries, bounty hunters, hardened combat individuals is currently making its way onto the platform as you watch.
Yikes.
Yeah, you're seeing this as Zaya just looks over at you and she yells, as you tell her to like come here, she just goes, "Do something." As she just like fires once again over the top. barely one of the shots barely missing her arm as she pulls it back down. It fires past her, and you can hear like the metallic impact on the hull of the ship.
Oh, shit. Oh, Bina don't like
Is-
that.
Is Zaya in short range of me in Cypher terms, or she's further away?
I
than
would
that?
say she's within short range of you right now. She's close enough that she could dash quickly, not close and like too far.
She doesn't have enough cover
Exactly.
to get to
Exactly.
you. Yeah. If they're
Okay.
firing at her, she can't get to the ship, basically.
I kind of like think hard for a sec, and then I reach out both my hands and I try to fuck with gravity around her to make it harder for bullets to hit her
Ooh,
and cast the
Oh.
distortion power.
shit! How does that work?
Like, are you giving her like a wall in front of her where like
Well-
shit will
Well,
like get
it's
fumbled?
okay. So the target has an asset on speed defense rolls until the effect wears off. And in the rules, it says that it messes with light, but I sort of think of it for me more like the gravity just immediately around her body is like unpredictable.
I think it probably. I mean, gravity messes with light too. So
It does, exactly. It probably has a weird visual effect
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like,
it makes her harder to see.
yeah.
too.
So you watch as you're reaching out your hand trying to like figure out some way of protecting Zaya. Like your kind of knowledge of physics starting to like. You're like, okay, what do I know about gravity? What do I know about gravity? And you start just sort of
Yeah.
reaching out, trying to make something happen. You watch as Zaya actually distorts in front of you. Like the light seems to like bend around away from her, so you're almost like not quite able to fully see her. There's like
horizon
yeah,
of
there,
the black hole.
yeah.
Oh god,
that's
that's so
what it
cool.
looks like. That is exactly what it looks like. And as
Roll credits.
she's
You
like,
can all go home.
she looks around and her her hair is to the point where like her hair is starting to sort of stand up on end slightly as it's sort of like and just sort of wave almost as if she was in 0G as she looks around and then looks at you and just nice, and she just gets up and just starts running. And you watch as this happens. You see as projectiles start going past her, flying past her, and a few of them look like they would hit and then just seem to get caught in like this field around her and just start orbiting as she's just running. And as soon as she passes by them, they just fall to the deck. As she runs, you watch even at one point you glance past her for a moment and you see one of the bounty hunters pulling up what is very clearly a laser rifle, aims, fires, and you watch as the laser beam goes right dead on and then just bends around her. The gravity distorting the concentrated beams of light as it just sort of distorts around her, bending off, and you watch as the laser instead shoots off, destroying one of the light fixtures in the hangar, just sparking everywhere, as she just keeps running, making her way to the bottom of the plank. At this point, she immediately she immediately turns around and just fires wildly again until you hear like that like clicking sound, and she just shit, and she holsters it, and then just as she slams the control just as the
Oh my God.
the gangplank starts rising.
I feel like this whole time Peach has been like on her way. Like as soon as she saw it, she's been like running there, but she just got there as she sees the like "fuck you" and it closes.
Yeah, you see as the plank closes amid still hearing the impacts on the outside from where projectiles are hitting the ship.
Lucas, would you say that they're still in immediate range? No
no,
longer.
they aren't.
Okay.
They were never in immediate range.
They're firing range weapons. Zaya was in immediate
never mind.
range.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So she turns and looks at you. She says, "Nice trick." You say as like you're having Peach. You get there and you're having a hard time focusing on Zaya because she's just distorted. As she looks over and she just sort of grabs one of the projectiles that's still floating around her. She just grabs it and she's it's still hot.
Like when you put on someone else's glasses and the prescription
Yeah.
isn't quite right.
Yeah.
I say I think it'll go away soon. I don't know.
No, that is excellent. And she looks around and says, "So we should probably take off now, right?"
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
I
Yes, we
do the
should.
intercom thing again. I'm like we are good to go.
Right.
All right, Bina, you are settling into the pilot seat. clicking all these buttons and switches.
Everything I've attached to the bridge recently is good to go, right? Like we're
Yes. Everything's in. Everything is set up. You get once again another warning that pops up talking about like the registry and blah 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 and all that, but you're just sort of like dismissing it. As the ship starts rising, you're looking out over the viewport, and you are actually starting to see the like group of maybe 6 or 7 mercenaries who seem to be just sort of standing there. They've stopped firing, and they're just sort of watching. It looks to you like they're waiting for something.
oh fuck right off, and I'm gonna engage. We're out of here. I don't care what they're waiting for, but we are leaving.
And just like
Eating out.
all of you feel just sort of this like sensation in the pit of your stomach as the ship, rather than like rising up and leaving, just Bina just inverts it and just takes up straight off. It's just sort of, and just flies directly up.
Yes, she does.
Out of the place.
God.
As you're looking down, Bina, you kind of glance out of the viewport. You see as a few of them, new arrivals come, and these are definitely wearing a very different uniform. This is very like Black Ops looking, kind of like head to toe tactical gear, whereas the mercenaries look sort of like hodgepodge of armor plates and coats and things like that. These guys look like professionals. As you see them, a team of them, one of them toting what is very clearly a heavy weapon. As the two immediately following that individual are bringing like the housing for it as they start setting it up. You have never seen one of these before, but as you're looking down, this is a net. Yeah.
We're going. No.
Weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're immediately just sort of taking off, and you see as your communicator on the ship dashboard starts blinking, and you glance down and you see it's Deverus contacting you.
I answer.
Yeah. Says, hey, so what's this? No goodbye? Everything you just leaving? You taking off? What's?
Yep. Really sorry. You should stay indoors for a little bit. I'll talk to you later. And
What
then
did
I
you
hang
do to
up.
my? And then just cuts off. As you're just taking off out of the hangar, you glance down again, and they're just in the process of setting up right about the time where you lose visual on them. As you're just going, suddenly you hear the ship's warning systems come online. As you see that the ship itself, all the systems are warning you of a target lock.
Wait, hold on. I have to pull up my. I have piloting. I have piloting things. Thank you. The stars are fire. Hold on. I don't know if any of these are even relevant. Evasive maneuvers.
Right. So what does that do again?
Evasive maneuvers defenses are eased 3 steps, but attacks this round are hardened by the same amount. So
Okay.
if we were going to try to attack them, it will be harder.
Right.
But the hindrance is 1 step. So it makes my task
I think it makes defense tasks easier by 3 steps, but the hindrance for attacking is.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how that works. So basically, right now the difficulty on this check is 1 because originally the difficulty was 4. So.
And I now am skilled or specialized in piloting checks
So
that immediately knocks it to nothing.
You immediately wait for the absolute last minute, because with this kind of lock, like if you go too early, it'll still get you. And so you wait until the absolute last minute. As soon as you see that your readings indicate that a discharge, you just sort of go, and you can hear the proximity sensor starting to beep faster, sort of beep 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 beep, and you just veer it. Yeah. Describe to me the maneuver that you you pull here.
So we wait till the last second. You hear the proximity thing, and as it is like on our tail, she's gonna do like a flip up and end up and duck underneath it and go like kind of and down and then like back up the way she was
Okay,
going.
so you
She
do
flips backwards. She does
Right.
a backflip over it.
so basically in order to do this, you just yank back on the control yoke as the ship just once again shoots vertically, and you cut the thrusters at the apex of your turn. You cut the thrusters, allow the ship to just sort of spin on its axis through just sort of its own momentum, and as soon as you're sort of facing downward, you slam the yoke down and just to an outside observer, essentially it just looked like it would basically be like the net is closing on the ship as you went up and then shot back down just as the net passed. With that kind of sharp turn maneuver, there's no way for that net to catch you or compensate in any way.
Yeah, sorry to everyone on board.
Oh yeah, no, it's a rough.
Bam!
The gravity on the inside of the ship is not able to keep up with this kind of maneuver. So you're all like thrown around basically, and none of you being secured at this state, you just get thrown.
Yeah. It's like you're on a wooden roller coaster. It's just like,
Yeah.
You have all been in a ship with Bina piloting before. You should have known.
Grab
I think
onto
Peach is
something.
in the bridge, right? Like
Yeah.
you were in the security station.
Peach was there, but she left.
Oh, that's right. You went down.
So you're
That's good,
currently
yeah.
the only one in the in the cockpit. So with that, as you you reorient the ship, you pull up once again, sort of leveling off and just shooting out past towards one of the tunnels that leads towards the exterior of the asteroid, and you're just zooming away. Your ship, entirely unprompted, you watch as your displays bring up some like launch data from the hangar bays of
Okay.
Sulon, stuff that you would not have had access to or shouldn't have access to from your ship's computers. You just see it pop up as you can see that there are multiple Silverbreak ships registered to Silverbreak that are launching from the hangar right now.
Okay.
Not the same
And
one that
I
you're from.
didn't-
These are across the city from where you just came from.
And this was an unprompted
Yep.
surge from the computer. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, in order to get this kind of just to put this in context for you, in order to get this kind of information, you would have had to have like hacked into the computers of the
I would have to be wire and doing it on purpose.
basically. So, you're seeing that, and you see as like very clearly like the display is seemingly operating on its own, like zeroing in on the actual like relevant data as you see
Yeah.
several ships that are launching at this exact moment, and laying in a pursuit course basically.
Okay, I go over intercoms and I let everyone know we're gonna have company. They are onto us. Hang on. And she's just gonna focus on getting us out of here.
I hover up off the ground and then like with one hand forward, like gravitationally pull myself down the hallway towards the bridge.
Yes, I'm here for it.
I just try to find a secure. I'm trying to decide if we should stumble through the ship to a point where we're all together, or just like
I mean,
hunker down.
you guys can help me if you're on the bridge.
Yeah, I'll try and like make my way to the bridge, but I don't know if you've ever been like on a rocky boat. Like that's how I'm imagining.
Right now, all of like the internal ship's compensation has like caught up with the maneuvers now, because now Bina's just flying in a straight line very
Straight line,
fast.
yeah. So now we're fine.
Yeah, you're fine right now. Zaya is like disentangling herself from like some of the the cargo webbing, basically the stuff that keeps like the crates in place. She's like disentangling herself from it, and she's just standing up. She's, ooh, is this always like this?
Yes, so far, yeah.
Okay.
I think this is more fun because we have more people, so that we know.
Yeah. She says, all right. And she says, I'm gonna find a place to strap in. You got a gun on this thing?
Get her at tactical.
Mason, I say
We have
come to the
we
bridge
have-
with us if you want.
Yeah.
we have
okay.
a big gun for you to use.
That's all I like to hear. As you all make your way through the ship, at one point you do run past Mason, who's just kind of poking his way out of the lift that was like that leads to the observation deck. He says, "So we're running."
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You bet your ass this ship is accessible. There are no stairs in here.
No, absolutely. So, you make your way, all of you as a group, to the bridge. There's this moment of hesitation as both Mason and Zaya reach for like the tactical station. As they look at each other, they just sort of nod, and Zaya just sits down, and Mason sits in another seat, and like, Zaya just starts pulling. She just starts pulling the like the gunner controls. Just starts pulling them. Just starts flipping things on.
As people arrive, I'm gonna kind of flip the data that just got brought to me somehow up onto a more visible screen so that everyone can see how many, how close, how much time we got till they get to us.
Okay.
Where are we going? Where are we going? Did we have a plan?
Aren't we trying to go to where didn't Wire give us somewhere to go investigate about old technology or old I feel like Wire gave us a place to go to investigate something.
She gave you a lead to a contact, somebody who is investigating sort of like ancient artifacts of ancient civilizations.
Yes.
There was another lead that she said of maybe investigating like the cryogenic technology that was keeping everybody together. Mostly Wire said to lay low. So
We're doing great. Should we go find that contact? I don't know. Just first thing on the list.
I think that's probably the best thing. That way we have it's the strongest lead we have right now. I think one of the two strongest.
Do I have coordinates?
Zaya says, "I've got him here." She says, "But take it from somebody who's been on the run a lot. We're gonna want to lose our tail before we do anything else."
We're not going directly there. We're gonna get out of here. So I'm gonna set a course for like. I want to pinball around, and kind of just like pick a spot out in like in like the middle of like near an asteroid field, and then we're gonna ping out along into another. I want to make like 5 random stops,
Right.
and hope that we're gonna lose.
So
them.
basically,
like,
just a series of micro jumps, essentially.
Yeah.
Like a tactic favored of criminals and smugglers. For losing.
We aren't any of those things.
No, of course not.
Not yet.
I mean, the government thinks we are, or is telling people we are.
Yeah.
What do they know?
We're only criminals in the eyes of the people who can define what criminals are.
Right, yeah, obviously. So, you a moment later just shoot out of one of the openings to the asteroid's core, just firing off into space. You just pick a direction, you start going as you start inputting coordinates, and you watch as you start inputting the coordinates for your micro jumps. You actually watch as your navigation system just picks up the work and just starts like plotting micro jumps for you.
Oh, okay.
Like literally, it's a thing that as you're programming them in, all of a sudden the computer just takes off and starts doing it much faster than you could do it. As you just sort of like, oh, okay, and you go back to the controls. As seeing in the rear display, watching 3 smallish vessels, which Bina would immediately identify as being not the class of ship or the exact model and make of the ship is entirely unknown to Bina, but these are definitely interceptor class vessels. Their whole job is pursuit. That is what they're designed for.
Okay, I do have, if it is useful, I do have lose enemy craft as a function or a action I can take if that would be useful here.
Yeah, if you want to, that's exactly what will happen. So hold on, let me pull up some stats here so I can give you a difficulty.
At this point, can we get Zaya on the big gun?
Oh,
at
she's
this
there.
point?
She's there. She's
ready.
got it picked up and primed.
I want to say, because if not, we're definitely pointing her over there and being like,
Yeah.
"Hey, go investigate these controls, figure out big gun."
Yep. So, okay. So, so first of all, before you're able to do this, the ships, they kind of close range because they're much faster than your vessel, and they immediately begin opening fire. So first of all, I'm going to need a defense roll from you here. So, The difficulty.
What about Can I do evasive maneuvers again? Does that count for this?
I believe you can.
Okay.
Actually, I think evasive maneuvers is a thing specifically that you have to take on your turn, and then it just sort of lasts the round, basically.
Okay, cool.
But
So this is me. This is my reaction, not my action.
Right.
Got it.
So right now, I need you to make a. Let me just make sure I have this right, because I think. Okay, cool. So I need you to make a. This is going to be a difficulty 5 defense.
Okay.
I believe your ship defends naturally at a level 4. So, it's actually going to drop down. I think it's going to drop down 1. Yeah. So the difficulty is 4 right now.
4. Awesome. Okay.
Is that right? Hold on. Let me just think. No, never mind. I already factored that in. So it is still a difficulty 5.
Got it.
I had already
Cool.
factored in the. Yeah.
All right. Piloting. I'm specialized. That drops 2. Is this a perception task that involves sight to perceive what they're doing, how I can avoid it, ways I can maneuver around it?
I'd say yes.
Okay, that's 3. Does Zaya on weapons give me any assist? Do I have an asset in the ship? Like, does the ship, like, systems, target lock, whatever? I don't know. I've gotten assist from the ship in the past, but I don't know if that counts for this.
I sort of think the ship is assisting you in that you are making a defense roll here. Right? You see what I'm saying? Because, like, the defense is based on the ship. Well, yeah, because you've already had a reduction in difficulty from the ship because the ship defends at a level higher. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, like, not from the computers or anything?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to do one more speed effort.
Okay.
And Olem and I cheering, give an asset.
Unfortunately, no,
This is
not
morale.
in this
Damn
case.
it.
So, is difficulty? We're down to a difficulty 1 now.
Yes.
Okay, so 3 or
I'm
better.
rolling. 3.
All right. So,
Raped on by.
so several, like you can see on your displays as as you just wildly sort of maneuver the ship, but as you watch as you're piloting several of the. You're not able to miss all of them, so several of them impact on the ship's shields, and you're watching as like the shields are taking hits, but maintaining integrity at the moment. So, yeah. So, now you can do your thing.
Okay, I want to... Wait, let me read it again to make sure. Okay, I would like to lose enemy craft.
Okay. All right. So
It says effect... Wait, okay, so what does the hindrance do again? I don't remember what we talked about. Because it says task, and then there's the hindrance, and then the effect. Does it make it that many steps harder for me to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Fuck, okay. That's fine. 4 steps.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to do.
Separation
so what that means is that right now the difficulty is 6. The difficulty on this is 6.
Okay. 4 steps. Okay. If separation is first increased as a separate task or maneuverability is disabled, target craft loses track of pilot's craft behind a moon in a debris field, etc., which I think we can maybe call one of my jumps, my pinball
Right.
moves. So that makes it a difficulty 6. And the effect will be we lose them. Okay.
Yep.
2.
All right.
Because I am specialized
All right.
in piloting. Perception task? To be aware of where they are? If it involves sight at all.
I'll give it to you because you probably you need to find out some way of breaking their line of sight from you somehow. So
Yeah.
scanning for the.
It's literally it's just tasks that involve sight.
Yeah. So I'll give it to you on that one.
Okay. Do I get any assist from the ship?
Here,
any of its
yes.
Systems?
Here, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll get an extra one there.
Are any of my friends navigating? That wouldn't do anything. That wouldn't help me. If anyone was helping in the bridge.
It could potentially. Well, it's
Your
not
call.
really.
If it's
I don't think that.
No one was set up for it. So,
no.
all right, I will spend again. Ooh, you guys, I need a break. I'll spend point of effort
Okay.
to get it down to 1.
All right. Difficulty 1. One hell of a reduction right there.
This is what she's good at.
I'm holding my breath.
I know, you guys. 16.
All right. So so as you're firing, as you're shooting ahead of them, you glance back. You glance at the rear display, and you watch as all of them seem to be repositioning once again to take more shots. And just as they're doing that, it gives as they're repositioning, sort of reforming. You glance ahead of you, and you spot a couple of cargo carriers that are coming in towards the asteroid.
Yeah.
As you see this, you just slam the acceleration forward towards both of them as you basically go in between the two of them as they're passing in parallel. They're passing not parallel, in perpendicular to each other. They're passing in different lanes as you just you literally flip the ship sideways and pass in between them, and then pull up just on the other side, and in that moment, the ship just takes initiative and just jumps. With the first micro jump as you just vanish.
You guys, that was a level 6 jump.
Level 1.
Whew. So, as you see the star lines start to form in front of you and just start zipping past, the ship, maybe a minute later, comes to the end of the micro jump as you're all just sort of sitting there just watching. Ship comes to a micro jump. Immediately you watch as it starts recalculating the next jump and then takes the next one. Basically, the ship is just doing this now as you just take your hands basically off the controls and you watch as the calculations are still being run. Zaya just sort of has sort of for a moment a disappointed look down at the controls and then sets them back and then looks. She sort of slouches in her chair suddenly and just says, "Well," she says, that was a hell of a piloting thing you just did."
That was fun. Did we have fun? That was good.
Yeah, I'm now starting to wonder if every time we leave a place, it's going to be like that.
I'm starting to pick up on that too. Yeah.
I mean, nobody better than you if that's the way it's going to be, but whew.
We good?
Yeah,
Is everyone okay? I want to.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a lot. We had those are some nasty Silver Break ships. Those were in their interceptor class.
Oops, sorry.
They do not want us running around.
How did
What
you know
that
they were?
means-
How did you know they were following us?
I kind of looks down at the consoles and points up at the data that she got. That showed up on my console, and I didn't ask it to. So everybody say thank you, ship.
Thank you,
Thank
ship.
you,
Thank you, ship. Okay. I don't know what that was about, but it was good info to have in the moment. And she immediately turns around to the console and calls into the bridge to the engine. Jade, you good?
You just there's a moment of hesitation, of silence, and then you just hear, yeah, I'm fine. I managed to hold on to something for a while, and it was good. Can I let go now?"
Yeah, you're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're cruising.
He says, the doctor stayed, right?"
Okay, please go to sick bay.
Okay, everything's good down here, by the way. I got it all finished, so we're good.
Okay, good job, great job.
And you just hear, ow, as the comm goes off.
He needs someone to walk him. I can go walk him. I'm gonna go walk him to the med bay. I feel concerned.
Poor kid.
Mason leans back in his chair and goes, "So what's the plan?"
Immediately we're gonna make a couple more jumps, and then after that, we decide which task on our to-do list we'd like to take.
Sounds good. Anybody needs me? I'll be in the bunks making. He kind of like slaps his notebook into the palm of his other hand and says, "Just be making some notes, doing some research. Got to work the case." And he stands up and makes his way back towards the quarters as both Peach and Mason exit the bridge simultaneously. Zaya just sort of at this point, she turns herself in her chair so that she's like off to one side and like slings one leg over the arm and just says, "So, where'd you learn to fly like that?"
Well, I learned how to fly in freighters, which clearly you can't do that.
Yeah,
in
no,
freighter.
no. You'd tear the damn thing apart if you tried.
Oh God, I've tried some barrel rolls though. It's fun. It's fun regardless.
Nice.
No, I learned how to fly in a conduit.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What you learned to fly where?
Conduits.
I think Olem's over like pouring over the locations for the jumps just so he can know where they're going. Like,
Yeah.
and he kind of double takes, but doesn't but then just keeps looking at it.
Zaya just looks at you. She says, "No shit, you're a racer?"
Yeah.
Ha!
Was, I guess. I don't know when I'll get to do that again. Not that anyone knew who I was, but like, a
Yeah,
little hard to get home at this point.
true. So you have your own pulse bike and everything?
Mm-hmm. She's beautiful.
Wow, I'd like to see that someday.
Do I have any like? I guess I wouldn't have any of my. You know what? We have like sci-fi internet, right? Like I could probably pull up a list of like somewhere. There's probably photos of like
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
racers or
And
known racers.
especially now with that transmission scrambler that Wire gave you, like it's basically it effectively just sort of makes you and like this like transmissions from the ship basically untraceable, like
Cool.
virtually
Yeah,
untraceable.
she'll pull
Let's
up
put
a
it that way.
list of. Yeah, she'll pull up a list of like known racers and known bikes and stuff, and she'll scroll through a little bit, and then she pulls up on the big screen this racer, and it's under the name Euphoria.
Yeah, Olem, that name immediately strikes you because the one time that Vaek won big was with betting on racing was betting on Euphoria.
No way. That's you?
Mhm.
Oh.
You're a racing fan?
Oh, I mean, I placed a bet a couple times. My friend.
Olem. Scandalous.
Oh no! It's well, it is a good scandal, I guess. No, it's my aunt and her friend Vaek. They're well. Let's say you made more money for Vaek than he's had in his pockets in decades. I think so. He'd
Can
be
help, I guess.
It's it doesn't go anywhere useful.
Uh,
Well, that's amazing.
That's where I learned how to really fly.
Zaya is looking at you, Olem, after everything that you just said, and she says, "I feel like I maybe misjudged you." She says, and she just stands up, doesn't say anything else, just leaves, just walks out of the. And
What
she
a
says,
boss.
Love
she steps in the doorway and just stretches and just says, "You got any booze on the ship?"
Go find Mason.
Right. She just exits the bridge.
I just love all of defending himself from Bina calling him scandalous when she's the literal racer. Like, doing illegal shit. She's like, you, how dare you? He's like, no, wait.
It was for peer pressure.
Pete. Oh, go ahead.
Same, honestly.
I was gonna, Olem he's still has a kind of a smiley expression stuck on his face and continues to check where all the jumps are just because he wants
an
to
eye
be
on
able
it.
to know where they're going. Like, because that's all.
Peach, you are making your way down the. You meet Jade, just sort of like. He's like slowly making his way down the corridor, and you can see that he's got like one hand just sort of on his ribs as he's just sort of walking, very gingerly taking steps. And he sees you coming, and he sort of straightens up, and immediately, like suddenly, and then just like, hi,
Oh,
Hey,
I'm
Ja-
so
that's-
sorry,
that's-
Jade.
hi.
Do you need me to walk you?
I-
It's okay. It was a sudden jump, and you were busy at work. I'm gonna grab his arm so that like, and not
Yeah.
arm, but like kind of support him a little bit.
He's like, as
Um,
you're asking him, he's like, no, it's okay. I think I can make it. And you grab his arm, and he's like, doesn't
Yeah.
resist you at all. He just, it's like, I think I can make it. I just, okay. Yeah, no, I really, it was my fault. I got, I felt us taking off, and I knew I probably should have strapped in, but I just wanted to. There's just one last thing I had to make sure that, one last switch to flip on the.
No,
You know what?
It's
fine.
That's not your fault. I mean, you were making sure that we were safe. That's a very
Well,
smart thing to do.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. And he just like you like sort of help him along as the two of you make your way down the
Yeah.
down the hall.
I think as we're walking, Peach can't get the image out of her mind of him as a child, and she just keeps like, I feel like it almost flickers, like she almost sees him in real life, like as a child and as an adult, like as a young adult, as they're walking together, and like is just supporting him as they're walking to the med bay.
Yeah.
And she gives Abriel on the way. I'm just gonna go ahead and just like, do we all have communicators at this point?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
can I just like buzz Abriel, being like, on the way, if you're asleep, we're barging in.
you just
Can we come in? Can we come in? Can we come in? In a very nice way.
you get some there's a pause, and then she gets back to you. She says, "Oh yeah, I was just taking a power nap in the middle of the world turning upside down, but no, I'm available."
I really appreciate your time, Abriel,
And as the,
in your busy calendar.
she says, "I may have to bump some appointments, but you can come on in."
Right. And I'm gonna kind of bring Jade in and
Yeah.
release him to her.
Yeah, he's as you're walking down the corridor, he's just rattling off a bunch of technical stuff, basically telling you all the things that he did like in the last like thing. He's like, and that's why you had to. I had to calibrate the attenuator, because otherwise, then there would have been a whole bunch. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, he's just like
No,
talking.
no,
at
no,
this
I'm
point.
following completely. Keep going.
He
Yeah,
just keeps-
I'm
he's
just
just
like
going.
letting him. Yeah.
He's just rattling it all off. It seems like
Yeah.
it's helping him take his mind off of the pain that he's in at the moment. But just from like just a brief observation, he has at the very least bruised a couple of ribs, like at the very least.
Yeah, I feel like as we were walking, I probably kind of started to gather that as the way that he was walking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I if I can, if Abriel allows me, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of watch what she does, because
Sure.
we might not have a medical person here always, so I'm just trying to learn a little bit more about what she's doing, and I have a little bit of training in medicine. So.
Yeah. She looks over at him as he's like lowering himself down into the examination chair, and she's just like, took a bit of a rough fall, huh? She says, and he goes, yeah, a little bit. It's not really that bad. It just hurts a little bit. And she's like, all right, so she says, let me just take a look. She says, so where does it hurt? She says, where are you hurt? He says, oh, mostly just my pride. and my body, my entire body, that also hurts.
I think he has maybe some bruising on his ribs.
She kind of glances at you and just nods, and she looks over. She says, so I'm gonna just sort of feel around here and see what the damage is, okay? And she says, I want you to take a deep breath. He says, okay. as she just started like feeling around like his ribs, and as she starts reaching like kind of like up, like kind of just kind of halfway up his side, he winces it. She goes, okay. She's just all right. You
Can I go ahead and like conjure like a cool image, like maybe just some
Distract him.
yeah, I want to just like conjure something fun. Like I don't know if I can do something super elaborate, but if I can at all recreate Zaya diving behind the the friggin' crates and shooting at people, that's the image I want him to see.
Okay.
But I don't know how well I can project that. I was
Sure.
thinking just like a small little projection, like.
Yeah. I'd say just sort of spend an extra 2 points from your intellect pool, and you can make that happen.
Okay. Cool.
As you just sort of create in miniature, you're just sort of showing him as he's like looking. He's like, whoa. And you're not sure if he's like, if it's in reference to what you're showing him or the fact that you are able to do this. He's just sort of like looking between you and the image. He's like, that really happened?
Yeah, and then she died, and I'm making it even crazier than it was.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like it was already crazy, but I feel like I'm setting like a crate on fire. And, like, you know, like.
Yeah, Avriel is like still examining him as she's like looking sidelong at you, and she just says, you just hear her mutter at one point under her breath. She just says, crazy fucking ship. And she just keeps like going, like working and starting to, you know, just still assessing. In the meantime, we will go ahead and cut back to the bridge as
Just having fun.
yeah. Olem and Bina, you're just sort of for the last few minutes have just sort of been working in relative silence, just sort of like working together on the bridge. Bina, you're watching as like periodically you will drop out of FTL, and then quickly the calculations take up, and you feel the FTL drive cycle again, and this once again you're off. From what you're seeing the calculations still going, and it looks like whatever is happening, like the computer right now has plotted no less than 20 micro jumps at the moment.
I wanted like 4. Dang. Overachiever.
Yeah. Do you say that out loud?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I think I'm like looking at everything, and I think Bina talks to herself or talks aloud when she works, and I think she just is like, where are we going?
I don't know.
It's taking us somewhere. I don't know.
So it's not a cycle you set at all. This is the ship doing this.
I wanted to go. I wanted a certain pattern, but the ship set it up.
Is that concerning to you? Is it normal for a ship to have this kind of?
Oh, definitely not normal. I don't know if I'm concerned. I'm just kind of intrigued. At this point, I think we'll find out if it gets too concerning. Kind of a live in the moment kind of a philosophy. We'll see where it takes us.
All right. Well, you and Jade were in there, fixing it up and seeing what its guts looked like and everything, right? And so if you think it's fine, then
I have no idea what's happening.
Okay.
It's very exciting.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So after these jumps, then it's on to the contact about the old technology, the old ruins, or
If
either
that's what
that
we're
or the
gonna do.
yeah, it's either that or cryo, I guess, or maybe Zaya has somewhere else that she'd like to go
We
first.
have to drop her off too, or was that the contact?
I don't remember.
Is she still on the bridge, or did she?
No,
take
she
off?
left.
She's out. She's drinking.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I told her to go first.
She's drunk with Mason. They're brainstorming.
I would like to run like diagnostics. We just did a bunch of repairs on this thing. I want to make sure everything's running smoothly. Can I pull up like?
Yeah. You actually, as you go to pull them up, you actually can see one that's already in progress. It looks like Jade set this one up as one of the last things that he did before you took off.
Before I knocked him around like a pinball.
Yeah. So you actually see as the diagnostic is already kind of in progress, and you're watching as already results are being returned. And aside from a few like calibrations that probably need doing, everything seems fine. It looks like all the repairs were successful so far. most of the major systems have been checked by the diagnostic right now. So
Okay. And everything that needed to be done got done.
right. And it's at this moment that you're looking that you actually watch as that same annoying fucking pop-up message just comes up about like the ship's registry and the warning about like having an appropriate registry is required to dock at most stations, etc.
All right, okay. I pull it up. I enter back into the progress bar of the registry, and I'll tab through it. Is there any other things I have to do? Or is it like...
Only thing you need to do, that only thing that's left is a name for the ship.
All right. I look over at Olem, and I give him a big grin, and I type in Awakener.
I love it.
I nod and do this.
And I submit the new registry, and I say hello to her.
You watch as the warning sort of pulses for a moment, and then it turns green, and then just says your ship's registry is now configured, and the message just goes away.
We're a real ship now.
Yeah? Yeah, we are, huh?
Dang. Don't have to do too... Still have to keep it, well, everything on the down low, but we don't have to, call in favors to dock in places probably quite as often anymore.
That might be a nice change of pace. I was thinking this might be kind of silly, so...
I like silly things.
Okay, good. So, if we're supposed to, stay hidden and not let anybody know who we are, I mean, this is just a simple part of all of that, but maybe we should have personas? Like Euphoria, you've got one already, but we should, hide our faces, stuff like that.
Euphoria is my bike. I am Bina.
Oh. Yeah, see, I only watched this stuff like one time. That's what I'm saying. But then even all right, that notwithstanding, what do you think? Is this idea dumb?
I mean, at the very least, we're not supposed to show our faces, so maybe we need to get like cool masks.
Yeah, or helmets.
Or helmets.
All those people shooting at us at helmets. We might be at a disadvantage if we're exposed.
Yes, helmets are good. We could get like plain-looking jumpsuits.
Something like that.
We've been spotted in these clothes.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I like these clothes, but
Me
we
too.
should, cover them up or whatever.
It's my favorite cardigan. Yeah, exactly. We need a new image, not just for fun.
We need a rebrand. We're going to
stay
rebrand
alive.
ourselves.
Exactly, rebrand. But I don't want. See, I'm trying not to couch it in that kind of corporate language because
That's fair.
corporations are our enemies
They are.
now.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay,
just an idea.
we'll work on it. I think it should be priority because we need to not be.
We can't be walking around looking like this,
Either we go around and we just don't and announce our names and we can't introduce ourselves and just kind of be cryptic and in the shadows or whatever, or we can come up with fake names too. That's fine. Maybe we all have the same name. Make it very confusing.
Yeah.
Just a really weird family.
We are all of us are Kyle.
Okay.
And when we would introduce ourselves, that's just the name that we would all use.
Hello, we're Kyle. We are all Kyle. Yeah,
Worse than I was imagining, but I love it.
I think we have to keep giving this thought, Bina.
Okay. Do we need new names every time we meet someone?
I don't know. I think we start with making sure that we're not wearing the same outfit and that our features aren't as obvious as they have been because of these dang posters.
Okay.
We'll think about it.
We'll think about it.
If you don't mind, I'd like to just sort of keep watching what you're doing here in the bridge, see if I can't pick up a few tricks, make sure I understand the shipboard systems at least, even if I can't pilot like you.
You're helpful. You're still helpful. It's okay. I'll do the piloting.
I hope so.
I think anytime anyone, if you're attempting to like learn things with Bina, I think it's kind of a little bit of misleading because when you're trying to do a thing that Bina's trying to teach you, you will have like an innate understanding while she's with you. And then when she's no longer in the room, you'll have to be like, wait, how much of this did you actually grasp?
Yeah, but that's how learning is in real life. I feel like my dad taught me how to tie a bowline like 15 different times. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I can tie this knot, then do it later by yourself.
Yeah, it's probably
even
exactly
worse
like
with
that, but
Bina.
maybe a little bit more frustrating.
Yeah. Oh man.
Or maybe it's more useful. I don't know, because you have the understanding. It's easier to pick it up later. But there is that disconnect from when she isn't actively showing you how to do something. That it would be like, wait, okay, hold on, I have to re-put this back together.
Well, that's what Olem's trying to do.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, as that is happening, taking place on the bridge, in the med bay, Abriel is just sort
I'm
of.
so sorry for splitting the party right
No,
now.
this is great.
I'm so
I love
sorry.
this.
Okay.
In the med bay, Abriel is just sort of finishing bandaging him up, and just says, "Well, with what we've got right now, that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do for you. Just try not to strain yourself too much." And she reaches over and says, "I don't have very many of these, so take them only if you're in excruciating pain." And she hands him just like a few capsules, and he says, "Okay." She says, "They're very strong, so only excruciating pain. Like maybe when you need to sleep." He goes, "Okay, yeah, okay." And he like sort of slowly starts to stand up. He sits back down. He's like, I think I might just like stay here for just a couple more minutes." And Abriel just says, "No, sorry, I have to do some organizing, and I can't organize when people are looking over my shoulder. So you're going to have to get up."
Jade, I can help you back to like the bridge or your quarters or something if you just want to lay down.
Yeah. My laying down sounds really nice right now.
Okay, do you want me to take you? I can. This might be a weird.
He like holds up his hand for you. And sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna take his hand. As I said, this might be a weird question. Do you need any help falling asleep? I can try something.
He stands. He's not usually, but I mean, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really slept a lot since.
Yeah, I can't imagine you have.
He kind of like looks at, as you're kind of helping him up, he kind of glances down at your hand and then looks at you and he says, do you do stuff like weird sleep thing, like the thing that you showed me earlier, but like.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how it all works yet, but
he nods.
I think I can help you get to sleep, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm not gonna argue. That sounds. He says, "I'm not sure. Normally it's hard, but now," he kind of glances down to his like newly bandaged chest as he looks down and says, "I don't know what this is gonna look like laying down, so we'll see."
You'll probably have a cool scar though.
Maybe. Yeah. And he just sort of like follows you as you're going, and he's just walking down the hallway. He's like, after there's like silence as you're kind of helping him down the hallway towards the quarters, and as he eventually, as you're arriving there, he says, "Can I ask you something?"
Yeah, of course.
How do you do the thing that you did? How do you do that?
You're gonna have to be more specific, Jade.
What you just showed me in medbay with the.
Oh, yeah. So my friends and I something was done to us, something that we don't really understand, and as of now, it's been helpful, it's been good, and we've been helping people, and I hope it stays that way. I know that's not really an answer, but I don't know why I was I was given this or how.
Was it something the corpse did?
I think. I mean, it wasn't something I could do before. So I just hope it doesn't turn out to be something that they can use against people.
So wait, so like you have superpowers?
Um, I guess in a way.
Cool.
Yeah, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Cool. Ow. As you're just like you make your way into the quarters, you see Mason, who's just sort of sitting on the couch in the common room with like basically holding like a whiskey tumbler in one hand, and then like and in the same hand and between two of his fingers holding a pen, just sort of looking over his notes. He looks up, he just and goes back to his notes. You walk past him with Jade. Um, taking him over to one of the unoccupied beds, or unclaimed beds, I should say, as he slowly lowers down. He's like, oh,
I'm easing him down.
he like sits down and he's still like very stiff, and he just says, okay. I broke my leg once when I was 6, and
Oh yeah? How'd you break it?
I was running.
It's a really guilty expression, Jade.
I was running, and my on some of the scaffolding where my dad was working on a ship, and he told me not to, but I still ran, and I fell and broke my leg. This is kind of like that, but worse because it's hard to breathe. As he like slowly lays down and just he just sort of lays there, and then like slowly over the next couple minutes starts to kind of relax. Just
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, just stay relaxed. Just kind of just take a second and close your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I'm gonna go ahead and I want to try and kind of pull up like a really peaceful dream for him and kind of like lull him to sleep, like because I know technically the ability is more like usually you're supposed to like mix elixirs or something, but I don't think that would make any sense in this context
No,
at all.
I like this way better.
It's more of like a he feels very comforted and it like lulls him to sleep situation.
He's just sort of laying there. He's like, as he's like his eyes are closed and he's not looking at you. He's like, I just remembered this one time when I was, and then he's just sort of like asleep.
Yeah. And Lucas, I think that something that would be really difficult for Peach in this situation is to not stay in the dream. Like, I think it would be really difficult for her to like not be sucked into the really comforting dream that's happening right now. So I don't know if like I don't know if there's a willpower system in this, but I know usually there are like wisdom rolls for that kind of thing.
I'm gonna have you make an intellect defense roll here, basically.
I just assigned myself a roll, guys.
No, I love it.
Good.
I love it.
Good.
This is the difficulty of this intellect defense roll is going to be 3.
Okay. Then it would be down. So I have an edge in intellect, so
yes.
It would lower it down to.
You have the power shift, right?
Yeah, power shift.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that brings it down to 2.
And I don't really think I'm gonna waste any like effort on this. It's just it's just a cool, fun thing.
All right.
So 6 or better.
Yeah, 6 or better.
Okay, cool. It was a 2.
Okay. So
fun thing.
As you as you watch as Jade just sort of immediately drifts to sleep in front of you, you start hearing voices, sort of ethereal voices. You know for a fact they're not ones that you're hearing, although you sort of instinctually look around anyway. As you realize that what you're looking at, it has a sense of familiarity to you in that it is, you know that it's part of the images that you just conjured for him. And as you look, you start to feel his contentment through that dream. You start to feel just the calm comfort of whatever it is that he's feeling, and that, so different from what you've been feeling over the last couple of days, it becomes an irresistible pull to you as you start to turn away and you glance back. There's a moment as you fight it, you struggle against it, but in the end, these last several days have been a lot, and you give in, and you're pulled into the comforting dream that you conjured for this young boy aboard your ship. And that's where we're going to take our break.
Oh
Of
shit, is it
course.
that time already?
It is. It is.
Wow.
What time is it? Oh my god.
All right, so we're going to take our break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. Don't go anywhere. We will continue then. See you soon. Hello, and we are back, everybody. Welcome back to Infinite Horizon. Sorry, let me just set some stuff. Oh, okay, cool. We're back from break. So yeah, how's everybody doing? All of you players, are you?
Very excited.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah, same here. That went by quick.
it really did.
Yeah, I did not realize it was break time, but
Yeah.
I'm glad because I have another cup of tea.
Yeah, so first order of business, I will say, everybody go ahead and take an XP for all of that.
Ooh, I really
everything
need to
that happened.
cash this in. I really need to cash these in.
Yeah,
Man.
I think you might be the only person who hasn't taken an advancement so far.
Well, I meant to, and then I was like gonna talk to you about it before we started,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
I didn't have, and then I forgot because there was a lot of stuff happening. So
Right, yeah. Cool, so yes, everybody take an XP from this earlier half of the session because there was a lot of great problem-solving, role-playing, and enacting penalties on oneself. Which I will always reward voluntary penalties, so...
we love to make our lives more difficult.
All right, so when we left off, yet another in a line of what appears to be becoming a trend of daring escapes from locations successfully pulled off as the crew of the newly named Awakener have are currently making their way through a series of micro jumps to lose their pursuit, calculated by the ship seemingly of its own accord. And at the moment, everybody is sort of taking in the last few moments, coming down from the adrenaline of that escape. When we left off, Peach was accompanying Jade and helping him to sleep, using her dream powers to put him into a comforting sleep, but found herself pulled into it as well. I don't know that we really need to get into that unless you think it needs to be a scene, Olivia.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll say this. We'll say at some point, Olem, you kind of come back to you kind of stretching your legs, walking around. You come back to the crew quarters where Mason doesn't even acknowledge you as he's just sort of writing a bunch of stuff in his notebook. He just sort of barely glances up and just keeps going. You kind of glance in and see Jade asleep on one of the bunks and Peach sitting on the bed with her back up against the wall, also head down, both of them seemingly completely asleep.
They look peaceful.
They seem to be, yeah.
Okay. I just quietly I go up and quietly interrupt Mason and tell him that I'm looking for face obscuring headwear that we might use next time we're at port, and to ask him to me know if he finds any on the ship.
He just looks at you, and he pauses in his writing, just looks at you, reaches over and grabs his hat and just pulls it down, and then goes back to his notebook.
Kind of like that, but more. and I leave him alone and glance back at Peach and Jade and continue on.
Okay. Bina currently in yes. What?
I had a thought.
Mhm.
So I want to like pull up system log. I've done this before and it never proves fruitful, but I want to do it again. I want to pull up like system logs, like most recent like tasks like assigned, like you can see like the most recent tasks assigned to the computer or whatever. Um, is there any like indication of like a, like you could say like maneuver like evasive maneuvers sent from pilot's chair, I don't know, intercom system access from fucking wherever. Is there anything listed as to what where these jumps are coming from?
I'm gonna have you make a roll. This will be
Oh shit.
for diagnostics.
Okay. Okay.
So, because basically what you're doing right now is doing a deep dive because you've tried this before, and so this is you just sort of taking the time now. Now that you don't have other tasks to work on, this is you taking
Yeah.
the time to try to find something, anything weird. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have you make an intellect roll. The difficulty is gonna be 5.
Yeah, because she's not. This is not her bag. Whew. I literally don't think I have anything that can help me here. Um, I don't know if I'm not familiar enough with this system for any of it to probably give me any sort of help.
Might
Like-
I assist if this happens after I come back from slurking around the ship or before I leave or whatever?
I sort of think right now it's just sort of Bina alone on the bridge.
I think so. Yeah, fair.
That is fine. Okay. Well, I will spend an effort in intellect
Okay.
and then hope for the best.
All right. So the difficulty is 4, so that's 12 or better.
Right. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, perception tasks using sight. I'm looking for
No.
things. I don't think anything. I have nothing.
Actually, you know
Okay.
what? I am gonna give it to you in this instance. And
Oh,
there's a
fuck yeah.
there's a reason for it, but
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to you in this
Okay.
instance. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so,
So it's
that's 9.
9 or better.
All right.
Roughly 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Shit. Two.
Okay.
No.
You look over the diagnostic this time just as you're watching the readings come back in, as you're looking down the list of commands that were sent, going through each one individually, just anticipating an answer to this question, and you finally finish scrolling and there's nothing new.
Yeah, that's why she wasn't digging in software, because there's no, she can't, she's there, that's not what she can do.
Yeah.
So she was just hoping if there's anything surface level in like an easy, like a diagnostics report,
Yeah.
but nope, she's not going to be able to find anything.
You do feel a slight like feeling of mild amusement from around you as you like
Oh, she frowns at that and looks around.
as you look around. You actually come face to face with the same woman as she's there standing in the corner, just sort of watching you, still somewhat translucent, but is watching you, just sort of smiling. She says, "You haven't figured it out yet either."
Either.
Oh, I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, thank you for that. You didn't do this?
What, this? No, I did this.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
From where?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think
Okay.
she looks around. She says, "I think in here,
Okay. I mean, that would make sense.
but not in here." She shakes her
Also
head.
valid.
She shakes her head and just says, as if like trying to clear some sort of something from her mind. She says, a lot of things are foggy right now, but
Yeah.
I don't know. She says, I think have learned some things, figured out some things, but I have little evidence, mostly conjecture.
You know what? That's something. It's better than nothing.
She steps forward kind of towards where you are, away from the back corner of the cockpit, and starts stepping kind of towards where you are, as she just sort of reaches out and tries to seemingly to grab the back of the co-pilot seat. And as she does, you can see as she kind of squeezes it, you can actually see the depression in the actual like cushion itself. She says,
Okay.
"So, I think this is some kind of hard light projection.
Okay.
I assume there's emitters everywhere. Because I've been able to visit other parts of the ship. Like
good,
this.
Good that you're not cooped up, yeah.
But I can also feel things. Like, she points over towards your displays, and she says, like that. I know that. And she points to the display where you just were pulling up all of, like, the commands and things. She says, you pulled it up, and I knew it. It was all there. And when the other one, the Anzalonian.
Peach?
Yes. When she was looking outside, I saw it too.
Huh.
And when those others, the ones before, when they were shooting at the ship, I felt it, but I didn't feel it. It wasn't pain. I just knew that there were impacts. I could feel them, but she's just sort of seemingly lost in thought, totally unconsciously, just sort of sits down in the co-pilot's seat.
I ask her. I try to catch her off guard to get like a quick reaction. What's your name?
Alma. She just sort of stops and says, I know my name.
Okay. Good. Caitlin makes a note.
She sits, and you can see, as she looks down at herself, you can see, it's weird, because you can see her physically there, but you can partially see through her to where the cushioning on the seat is pushed down. Like, there is something pushing. So it seems like she's probably spot on with her assessment of her form. She says, but that's... I think I must be some kind of advanced AI on the ship.
Are you programmed into it? If you can, see through all of the things, can you find your own program?
No. I don't know what to look for. She looks around, she says, I mean, I can... you watch as the targeting computer just sort of comes online, and she just sort of looks over at it. She says, and, she looks around, and she says, oh, and you watch as the cockpit lights dim. She says, all evidence suggests that I have this kind of control of ship's systems, and I can feel the ship's systems. When I sensed the launches of those other vessels, it was the ship's sensors picking them up, but I was able to figure out what they meant, and was able to show you.
Huh. Are you why the ship was on the capital vessel?
I don't know. And she just sort of looks around, looks at one of the displays, and you watch as just data just starts streaming. Like, in no way that it would be if you tried to look through anything.
Yeah, no way.
Essentially what you're seeing is just sort of lines of code that are just going as she's just looking at it. She tilts her head, looking through all of it, and you can actually see her eyes just sort of tracking it all, just very quickly tracking it all. As she says, there, wait, here. And you watch as she pulls up the code stops scrolling, and it just shows um, a series of commands and access points. That looks like at the time that it takes you a second to figure out exactly what you're looking for, or what you're looking at. But as you're looking, you see what appears to be a remote conduit between both vessels. This one and the one that it was docked on.
Oh.
This ship was apparently uh, rooted in, like its systems, like the computer was rooted into the systems of the other vessel. It seemed like it was a one-way kind of thing. Like the systems on the other ship were tethered into this one, almost like maybe the way that you would do with a diagnostic, with an external diagnostic. So
Okay.
it looks like the other ship must have been monitoring this one in some way.
Oh. Okay.
She says, "I didn't remember this," and you watch as the screen flits through more data, and you watch here, and she points, and as you're looking, you're watching the hold on. You're watching the display come up, and you see what looks like the change in the access, the direction of the access, essentially, where it looks like before the capital ship was monitoring this one, and the information was one way from this ship to the other. But at some point, and as you're looking, you actually see the timestamps match up with around the time that you would have been coming out of cryosleep. You watch at where that flow of information suddenly shifts, and instead the information starts flowing the other way.
Oh.
Like this ship in some way gained root access to the capital ship's systems and computers. She says, "Yes, I remember this. I mean, I was asleep, but I remember." She frowns, says, "Emergency protocol enacted on the vessel." She thinks for a moment, says, "Protection, something, a protocol is put in place to protect theft of intellectual property."
What was the intellectual property?
People.
Us.
I saw them. You watch as her eyes go wide as she leans forward in the cockpit and in the co-pilot's chair. She looking at the display, but not really looking at it.
Mhm.
She says, "I saw it happening. I saw I saw the stasis pods. They were shutting down. Emergency protocol on a vessel like that. They were shutting down. They were killing. They were killing the people inside. They were dying, and I could see it. I could see it happening, and I didn't want it to happen. I couldn't save them all. I couldn't save them all. I tried, but I couldn't."
You saved us. What am I feeling from her right now?
You're feeling a lot. It's
Yeah.
devastation that you're feeling from her. Just this sense of just, like you're feeling. She's definitely seeming to have like memories coming back to her, and with them, emotions.
I want her to feel my gratitude.
Yeah, she.
I want to overwhelm some of her fear.
Okay, she looks up suddenly and looks at you, and just sort of seemingly unconsciously reaches over and grabs your hand,
Yeah.
and you can feel
I
it.
hold it with two of them.
It's a light touch. You can. It's not by any means the same. It doesn't feel like flesh and blood, but it's solid. Her hand is solid. As you reach and you grab, and she just grabs on. And as soon as you make contact, she just squeezes.
Yeah.
She just sort of. I don't know. I didn't know any of this. I mean, I remember now.
I mean, you've been through a lot.
But I think I was asleep until you woke me up.
Good morning.
I don't remember anything. Nothing else.
That's okay. You're awake now. You want to meet everybody?
Not right now.
Eventually. I mean, if you want to stick around.
I'm always here.
So not a ghost.
No, not a ghost.
Good to know. Process of elimination.
Logical. She slowly, you watch as she just sort of fades again. And you feel, as she does, you can feel her hand just sort of losing solidity and then just disappearing. All right. So,
Yeah, I think she just sits with that.
so where is Olem right now? Actually, tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little bit of time passage here. So the after about an hour or so, the micro jumps complete, and you find yourself just sort of drifting out into you're out in what looks like empty space. Nothing around as far as you can see but the distant stars. Checking the checking the nav charts. Olem, as I assume you're probably back up on the bridge by this point.
Oh yeah, I love looking at charts too.
Yeah. Checking the nav charts, it looks like you are far on the edge of. You're just off the edge of a Commonwealth system, not an inhabited one. It's just a system within the United Systems Commonwealth. But you are just on the very outer edge of that system. And looking out the viewport, you can actually catch sight of its star, a blue giant.
Would I know if it's an uninhabited Commonwealth system? Is it likely somewhere like on a queue to get terraformed at some point? It's like part of their holdings that they just haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, more than
Possibly?
likely it is. More than likely.
Yeah.
Looking at the nav charts, as you're looking, there are quite a few. There are 7 planets in this system, most of which are gas giants. There's 2 that aren't. 2 of them are arid, rocky worlds that look like they have minimal atmosphere. So, and as you're looking through, it looks like exactly the type of world that probably would be perfectly slated for terraforming. But as of right now, you're not entirely sure. You can see the system's designation, which doesn't tell you a whole lot because there are hundreds of systems like this within the purview of the Commonwealth, and this one doesn't stand out to you in any way.
Okay, I relayed all that, I guess, and I say this should be a quiet place, and we shouldn't run into anybody except for Commonwealth probes or Sentinel satellites or something.
Okay. Oh, at some point, I want to. As the next time everyone's in the bridge.
We'll say by this point, like
Okay.
Peach, you would have come.
Have I woken up?
Yeah, you would have come to a lot sooner than Jade would. Like having.
Yeah, that's.
I feel like once you're in the dream, it becomes less difficult to like pull yourself out of it once you've been in there for a while. But yeah, you come back surprisingly rested, feeling a little bit rested for only having been an hour or so. But now you kind of still feeling the after effects of that on the bridge as Olem figures your location. So
Yeah,
by this
so,
point, everybody's on the bridge.
yeah, we're all
yeah.
moving out.
Okay. Is Zaya here?
Yeah.
Zaya's here? Okay. At some point I want to talk to her. And, I mean, everyone will probably hear it, but I want to direct it specifically at her. Silverbreak killed everyone on the capital ship. It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose. It was a failsafe that you and Wire didn't account for to prevent the loss of intellectual property.
How do you know that?
Alma told me, and I don't know if she's going to make an appearance or not, so I'm going to sound a little bit nuts, but we're just going to have to go with it, because weirder things have happened to us in the last couple of days, and I will not let anyone dispute that.
Alma?
So you know how I thought I saw a ghost? Not a
Did
ghost.
you make friends? You made friends
I
with
did
the
make
ghost?
friends. I think so. I guess we'll have to see how she feels about that. I think she's cool. She's integrated into the ship systems. She's the one who brought us here. She got us some good jumps. It's very good. Better tactical than I probably would have managed. But she is the reason that we woke up.
Wait, are you saying like an AI or something?
We don't know. We're still working out what it is that she is, what it is that she can do, and etc. etc. But something like that, probably. She's integrated into this ship, and the capital ship was integrated into this ship, and then she flipped it, and she saw what they were doing, and she stopped it.
Zaya just sort of runs her hands along like the shaved side of her head as she just shakes her head and says, "Well, I mean, it makes sense for Silverbreak to have that kind of, I don't know. They wouldn't want any of their stuff to fall into the wrong hands, corporate espionage being what it is."
So you should definitely let Wire know that needs to be taken into account next time.
Yeah.
Things like that happen.
I'm actually... She doesn't usually make mistakes like that. I'm surprised.
Have you guys ever stopped big ships like that before?
Not ships of that size like that, but we've stopped... We've introduced a virus into a ship here and there. Scrambled their systems, sent them somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Done it a few times. Nothing of that size before, but I just don't... I can't picture Wire making that kind of a miscalculation. That's all she does is calculate things, so... She usually thinks of everything.
Well, she didn't think of a failsafe, so maybe let her know to account for it.
Maybe the meteor storm knocked something loose or something. I don't know how any of that works, so...
I mean, that was what we found right away, that systems went haywire because of the meteor field, but...
Right. Maybe something triggered in the emergency protocols and... Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe... I don't know.
You'll have to talk to her about it the next time you contact her.
Well, everybody, and I open my arms to the bridge and I say, "This is Alma, and I hope you get to meet her at some point. She's very cool." And then Bina sits back down on the pilot seat. Goes back to whatever she was doing.
Nice to meet you, Alma. Just kind of addressing the air around Bina mostly, kind of not quite sure if this is a thing that is currently here, not like.
Yeah.
She's always here.
You don't get any response as far as you can tell.
Yeah, so I was not expecting one.
Yeah. Zaya just sort of leans back in her chair and just says, "Well, I have to make a contact location, but you could probably drop me on the nearest station. It's probably safer for you anyway. So,
Okay.
I'll put in the coordinates, and I have the." She reaches into like the vest that she's wearing and pulls out a data chip and just sets it on the dash in front of you and says, "That has all the information that Wire has on any kind of leads or anything like that. Also, she did tell me to tell you to, as soon as you felt comfortable doing so, that you were safely away, to test her frequency with the scrambler.
Oh, okay.
So, let me know whenever you do that, and I will be somewhere else."
Sounds good.
Anything else?
No, I guess we can take you straight away to your contact location, right? And as we travel, we can figure out where we're headed next.
Yeah.
Are you gonna miss us, Saya?
She kind of looks around and says, "I've had more action in the just few hours knowing all of you than I've had in the last, we'll say, 3 weeks combined."
Mhm.
She says, "So yes," is the answer to that question.
Are we picking you up afterwards?
Call
I'll-
us when you need us. We'll come pick you up. Doesn't matter what time it is.
Says, "I've got your frequency, so if I need you, I'll let you know. But I think I should be able to find my own way."
Okay.
Here, let me go ahead and put those in for you. As she reaches over, leaning over Olem, just sort of reaching past you, just sort of typing in like the coordinates. She says, "There you go. That's where you need to go." You see the coordinates pulled up for station 43. And it is a station that is more towards the ascendancy side of it's in ascendancy space. Not quite ascendancy core, but maybe in like the mid rim of the ascendancy.
Who runs these numbered stations?
Mm-hmm.
Is it whoever controls the territory?
Pretty much, yeah.
So these number stations are scattered across Commonwealth and Ascendancy space and elsewhere.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yep.
Cool.
Mostly in
They're just
Commonwealth.
big floating cities.
Yeah, mostly Commonwealth and Ascendancy. There are some in the border worlds, but they tend to be more like armed fortresses than anything else there. And
Good.
they tend to be run by anyone from minor tyrants to space pirates. So
Delightful.
I want to meet some space pirates.
so,
I'm sure we will.
So as soon as Zaya's finished with that, she steps up and says, "I'm gonna go take a nap," and she turns and exits the bridge.
Sleep well.
I call Wire.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is our opportunity. I think.
Yeah, time to get
I
the info.
think Bina's like leaning over the seat and like it's like, okay, bye, all right. And as soon as the door closed, she hits call. Like, she's like
Yeah.
She was ready.
You see, as like the you watch as the comm station just sort of pulls up the as it starts dialing the frequency, and as it does, after a moment, you see a holographic display projected up with Wire's face as she's just leaning in. She says, "So, looks like you got off the station all right."
Yeah, easy peasy.
Good. Looks like everything is checking out. I just tried about 3 different ways of hacking your systems, and I wasn't able to do it. So I think it's working pretty well.
Excellent.
Good.
So the
We might have some help too.
Hmm?
No.
So the scrambler seems to be doing its job. As she glances down and says, The Awakener, huh?
Mhm.
All right. Well,
So, and Bina, Bina is going to exposit the information she learned from Alma.
sure.
He's going to like just cut her off, like whatever she was about to say, and Bina's going to tell her something.
Yeah, she just sort of sits and listens to you as you explain. She nods. Her reaction at the end of it is very similar to Zaya's, as she just says, "Well, it does make sense that they would have those kinds of countermeasures, but I was very careful to make sure to write that into the virus itself, so that it would enact the coding without tripping the emergency protocols. It's concerning that it didn't work." She sort of frowns for a moment as you see her lips sort of moving as she seems to be like running. You can tell that she's sort of running mental calculations as she's just going, "Well, I'll have to look at that later. I'll go back into the virus's base code and see what I can find, but
Thought you should know.
thanks for letting me know. That's important. In the meantime, right now, Sulon is crawling with corporate presence, although most people wouldn't notice. But if you know how to look for them, you know that they're here and they're everywhere. So, not sure what they're trying to find, because I've been monitoring their communications, and it looks like they know that you all left. They know you're not on Sulon anymore. So,
Oh, are they looking for the?
as far as I can tell,
Are the colonists okay?
the colonists are. She glances over her shoulder. And she's, they'll be fine. For as far as I can tell from the communications, they're not even sure that any colonists actually survived the whole thing.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Let them
Perfect.
be dead. That's
That's what I thought they might. They might not know that they were still alive.
That's what I was hoping for.
Me too. Yeah.
All of you, they were able to pull up footage from some of the colonies' the capital ship's last transmissions. They were able to pull up footage of all of you,
Oof.
which is how they got some of your images. I've been digging into it. It's how they know who to blame for all of this. I'm working on scrubbing as many databases as I can, but I think the damage is pretty much done as far as that goes.
Yep.
I will say they are very good. They got out ahead of me. Honestly, I should have seen it coming, but
Can't anticipate everything.
it is my job to anticipate everything. Is there anything else?
We're on our way to drop Zaya off, and then we are going to go meet with your contact.
Right. Well, then I have things to get to.
Can we get a read on that? Can I get a read on that? Like, what was that? Can I?
Yeah. Let me get a read on that.
Yeah.
Bina's not in the room with her, can't feel her emotions, so wouldn't make an attempt.
Right. No. You can make a spend for insight if you want.
I will.
Okay, it's a 3 intellect spend.
Great. Well, I have an edge, so it drops it.
Yep.
So
Drops it too.
just-
She.
I was asleep, so I'm gonna say I was mostly full anyway. So
Yeah.
Okay.
She is simultaneously extremely concerned about Zaya going off on her own, and also irritated that Zaya is doing anything at all at this moment.
She's
The
just
mention of Zaya,
irritated with Zaya.
the mention of Zaya immediately concern, annoyance,
Yep.
like just as her entire concept and
I will
of
also
her
say
existing
just,
in a different location.
I'll also say just based on her reaction, she seems to that she knew that Zaya was accompanying you. She seems to have been unaware that Zaya was going to be parting from your company. So
Oh,
yeah, that's what I was.
Zaya should have been here to talk to herself.
So, that's what you get out of that. So, Wire says, "Well, you know how to contact me if you need any other assistance or need me to look anything up for you."
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Wire.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like partly off. Like, am I even on screen? Can Wire see me?
Yeah,
Are we video chatting? Is this
yeah.
a voice chat?
Yeah. No,
Video
you
chat.
can see each other.
Okay. I mean, I'm assuming I could see her. I just didn't know if she could see me.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to get on screen so I could see her. I think I owe you an apology. You weren't responsible for those people on our ship dying. It wasn't your fault.
If there's nothing else.
No, that's all.
She reaches over. You can see she reaches forward and her display goes. Yep.
She just seemed to have a lot on her conscience. I didn't want to add to it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good. So I say, trying to cut the weird tension in the room after that call.
Yeah.
We are to be en route to Zaya's point, and then to the contact.
Station 43.
Station 43, and then the contact with the old stuff, the mysteries, the ancient galaxy. Yeah.
Sure.
Old
yeah.
stuff.
Mint.
Good.
Cool. How far out are we from Zaya's drop point?
You would have to reach a conduit to get there.
Okay.
And you're probably about 3-ish days from the nearest conduit.
Ooh.
Two,
Way to lay low.
you're about a day and a half at full burn. And although at full burn you'll likely get noticed, but
yeah.
and then from there, the nearest conduit to actually the station is itself near a conduit, so you can actually it's pretty much fully a 3-day sort of thing.
Cool. Yep. We lay in a course.
Okay. All right. So you watch as Bina's hands fly across the keys, just sort of typing in putting in the coordinates. A few times you would probably notice as Bina turns to another display to like add something, and then stops herself, tilts her head and goes back as the display seems to have, as whatever she was about to do seems to have already been done.
I want bumper sticker merch that says Alma is my co-pilot.
I have the power.
Ooh. I like have my hands down I'm like looking really close at a bunch of different consoles, trying to see what they're doing. Like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just like trying to.
Yeah.
I love the thought that like Olem's been trying to like learn and pick up on like Bina's things, but like when she goes to like go do things he could observe and learn from, it's like already done. So like he's only picking up like stilted bits and pieces of the process. And
This is not the right environment for novice learners.
I love it. It's so funny.
Olem, one of the displays that you're leaning close to is as you're looking through, like one of them is like the computer's like the just sort of the database. As you're looking at it, you're looking very closely at it, and you watch as the screen changes, and suddenly it's bringing up what looks like a star map, and it just keeps like zooming in, and as you're looking at it, you realize suddenly that it's zooming in on a familiar part of the galaxy, and the longer you look, the more it just zooms until it stops suddenly and pulls up the data entry on Anzalon 3. And it's just sort of sitting there, and you're watching as the planet, a real-time feed, is just rotating, just on its axis.
And is Bina still entering the like jump coordinates, and there's stuff going on elsewhere?
Yep.
I look around for like cameras or anything in this room. I just kind of look around and try to sort of force myself to smile And then is there any specific like data that's brought up about Anzalon 3?
No, it looks like just sort of factoids.
Okay. I say this like under my breath. I'm like, yep, that's where I'm from. Where are you from?
You glance back in the screen, and it's back to just sort of showing, like displaying, like at sort of a neutral screen.
She was giving you a glimpse of home.
I know.
All right, so at this point, you all have several days with which to do whatever you like.
I'm gonna be doing like perpetual checkups on that engine because we had to get out of there in a hurry, and I'm still worried. And you said there were some things that need to be recalibrated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do those while we're in transit.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. It's just sort of going in, and it's exactly the kind of work that Bina hated doing on.
Hates, yeah, it's the word. I mean, she's more intrigued now, I think, by this whole ship situation, so it's a little bit more fun. But it is the exact task that she would have groaned and complained about back on her space.
Yeah. I will say at some point as you're like working in the engine room, you see displays that are just sort of turning on, like holographic displays that are turning on, and as you're looking at them, you didn't know there were displays there but now you're realizing some like connecting things that Alma said, like that there were emitters everywhere. She'd been other places on the ship, which means theoretically you could access a display from just about anywhere. So like as you're working in the engine room, you like a couple of times you like lean over to the terminal and start like looking at it, and then you go back to your work, and you do this a couple of times, and at one point, like as you're about to lean, a display just sort of pulls up in front of you.
She's like, "Come on, work smarter, not harder."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, good." And she'll work.
Yep. So, what about the rest of you? Anything in particular that you want to do? Scenes you want to have?
All right, I want to make a thing, okay?
Okay.
And here I'm talking. Okay, I'm gonna step meta for a sec because I'm stuck on this idea of the first iteration of the superhero costume, like Spider-Man sweatpants
yeah.
and like sweatshirt.
I'm into
but
it.
so like this is a little bit next level of that. Okay, so I'm bringing this up in a way that is actually reasonable this time. You know, in Lost in Space when oh gosh, what's his name? The guy who plays Joey from Friends, Matt LeBlanc.
Yeah.
When he has a helmet that goes
Right.
So I want to try to tinker with my glasses in such a way that like some kind of like holographic obscuration field comes up around my head from them.
Dope.
And does the same thing. It goes.
Yep.
That's so sick.
Okay.
So that's what I.
All right.
Hell yes.
I'm tinkering.
Yeah, sounds good. So you kind of go through, and I'm gonna say at some point Olem is just sort of like poking around in the hold, and like probably right about the same time that Bina, in addition to the things that you're doing, Bina, calibrations and whatever, you're also like taking some of the crates of like spare parts and things like that and putting them where they belong. Because right now everything that was purchased for the ship is just sort of still just in the cargo hold right now. And nothing has been distributed to where it belongs except for medical stuff, because that Abriel immediately did that. But at one point, Bina, as you're like making trips back and forth, you come in and see Olem just sort of like digging through like one of the boxes.
Like fully like a whole half of his body's like in a crate, like on one foot, trying to like get something from the bottom. I love it.
Yeah, just sort of like looking through and pulling himself out of it, kind of looking at a couple of different parts. You notice that Bina's here, and just sort of.
Anything cool?
Oh, well, yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I'm trying to figure out a clever way to hide my face, like I was talking about before. If I can make it work, maybe we could all have something. Just as like an obfuscation field or something.
Yeah. If Olem describes like specifically what he's trying to make, Bina could probably help with like construction and part allocation. She couldn't do any of the programming bits inside of it, but she could probably help him at least like narrow down what parts here are usable for that type of a thing. I could give an assist.
Okay.
So Olem describes what he wants to do, and like he's almost surprised at his own retention of like manuals he's read recently or like stuff on the space web. So he has like a good idea of what he's trying to make, like, and so he explains to Bina what components would be needed.
Yeah. So with that, then I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm gonna have you make a roll here, and actually, I have a thing that I can look at here because cool. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do here is essentially like a tiered difficulty thing, basically, right? Where like baseline, the difficulty of this task to create something like this would be this would be like a difficulty of 5. And basically what I'm going to do is after reductions and all of that in the roll, I'm going to change the amount of time that it will take based on how much you exceed the final difficulty.
Ooh, cool.
Okay.
So right now the difficulty is 5, and it would take you about a week to get something like this fully made.
Mm-hmm.
So, difficulty 5. This would be definitely an intellect roll.
Asset
Okay.
from Bina?
Yes, absolutely.
Perhaps?
Yes, absolutely.
Asset from Bina.
So I think that my 2 intelligence power shifts will come into play here too, as a crafting task.
Yep, absolutely.
So it makes it down to difficulty 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep, difficulty 2.
Do you have any other abilities or anything that could help lower it?
I don't think so. Most of my intellect skills are not actually about making things.
You can spend
You spend
effort.
for it?
Yeah.
I am going to spend an effort. Yeah, I have an edge of 2.
Oh, hell yeah.
No, I mean of 1. Sorry. I could
Cool.
though.
Still good.
Next
You could.
next spend.
I was gonna
so-
dump both. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have 2 of them. And I was like, I'm gonna be making a lot of piloting checks. I think I'm gonna
Yeah,
give myself an edge in
I'm
speed.
definitely gonna put my next one in. I might probably just keep dumping them in intellect.
Yeah, get it.
But the next one at least. So that would cost 3, but it costs 2 for me.
Mhm.
So that
that's-
brings it down to 1.
Yep, difficulty 1. 3 or better.
Nice.
All right. So so I'm trying to make this like obscuring field for my own head.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal
Yep.
here, right? And maybe if I make it work, I'll try to make in the future make them for other people if they want.
Okay.
All right. I got a 5, but I want to re-roll to see if I can do it
Yeah,
faster.
sure.
Because that would succeed, but it would be probably
Yeah.
still pretty slow.
Go for it. Go ahead and
Yeah.
go ahead and spend.
Yay!
Nice.
I'm gonna roll it on a different surface because that'll change it.
I think so.
A 6.
Oh.
A little bit better.
Okay. Well, with a 6, I would say that you could probably get that done in maybe probably around the time you arrive.
Okay.
You'd probably have to spend almost all of your waking time doing it, but you could manage it.
Okay, I'd do that.
Okay.
Because I want this dang thing.
Okay, cool. So, over the course of these next few days, you sit and you tinker with, both the schematics that you and Bina sort of hastily drew up together, looking at different parts and pieces, occasionally pulling from the database to find like accessing the galactic database to sort of find other schematics and just like tutorials, basically like YouTube tutorials type
We
stuff.
probably like, I don't know if Alma makes any appearances or whatever, but like holographic shit is like kind of her whole jam. So maybe we get a little bit of help from Alma at some point, pointing us in the right direction. I don't know.
Nope. Thus far, she has at no point revealed herself to anybody
Aw.
but Bina.
That's
She's shy. She's shy.
But you work at it diligently, and around the time when you would arrive, you have a fair working prototype of your design,
Yes.
which we'll get back to. So Peach, what are you doing during this?
So I had a couple of things that I wanted to do. One, I wanted to definitely make sure to call with our the phone scrambler that we have, call the colonists, specifically Decker,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of check in and make sure that everything's going okay. And then I also want to have a little training montage of powers if possible,
Sure.
and also a family dinner of us all because yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So
Including Jade and Abriel and everyone, you know. And I think I want Jade also, if Jade is free from his mechanic duties of following Bina around. I want him there too because I think he'd enjoy it.
okay. So for the first thing, it is you sit down to try to contact Decker, and then as you're sitting there, you realize that you actually have no idea how to do that because whereas it might have been possible before on the terminal that he on his personal terminal, you probably could have done it. Now you realize that whatever Wire has helped them do has basically put them effectively off the grid. As you start like you attempt to hail the his own personal terminal, but you get nothing.
See if Wire could patch you through.
Yeah, I think that's probably the next thing that I would go to is trying to see if Wire has a point of contact for them.
You pull her up, and she looks up, and as you finish sort of explaining, she says, "You contacted me for that."
Yeah, I just wanted to check in and see if they were okay.
It's
Sorry, did I interrupt something?
Sure. There, I can put you in contact, but you've got to make it quick. It's better for them if they stay off the grid as much as possible.
Okay, yeah, I just quick conversation and I'll be right in, right out.
Okay. She reaches over. You can see her as she's like typing, and she's putting you
Thank
through.
you.
And the communication just cuts out. Immediately opens up to another one. You see, after a moment, the face of Jareth Decker as he is looking. He says, "Hey,
Hey, Decker.
I didn't expect to hear from you this soon."
I just wanted to check in and make sure everything's okay. Honestly, I don't even know how long it's been. I feel like it's been a long time. I just wanted to make sure everyone settled okay and that everyone was kind of not freaking out too bad.
Yeah, no, we're okay. Your friend convinced a lot of us to. Well, a lot of us. You convinced a lot of a lot of people to follow through on the whole hiding out thing, laying low, and she was able to construct brand new identities for all of us. So, right now we're currently. He's looking around. He says, "Currently in the cargo hold of a ship, making our way to sort of." Actually, I probably shouldn't say, but
Yeah, I don't need to know, but
yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
A few of us are keeping together. Those of us who had differing ideas about what we wanted to do. For right now, all of us we're staying together until we reach our next destination. At which point, then we'll be splitting off. There's those who just want to lay low and stay together, and then there's a few of us who want to do what we can in this whole thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe hit the corpse back for what they did. Your friend,
Wow.
she facilitated some of that, put us in contact with some of the underground cells that she knows.
Good. Well, stay safe, and I know that I could definitely use you and whoever you have on our side. So,
Well, I have a feeling that if things go the way they look like they're going, we're going to be seeing each other again pretty soon.
definitely. And if you need to reach us, just talk to our friend Wire. She's happy to put us in connection.
Impression I get from her is that she's not usually happy isn't exactly in her repertoire.
Yeah, I can see it really deep down, I think.
It must be seeing something I'm not then, but you all take care of yourselves out there.
Yeah, you too. All right. And I'm gonna hang up and just hope that I don't have an awkward transfer conversation with Wire again, and then it's just done.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep. No, she seems to have been completely out of the loop the moment she transferred you over.
Okay, thank God.
So.
I'm just showing up and ruining Wire's day whenever I can, I guess. Like, I don't mean to. It's just our personalities are very conflicting.
Yeah.
Very good.
As for training, we'll say kind of cutting to some point a little later on in the middle of your travels. You have set up basically in the hold, it being sort of the largest open space in the vessel. Other than, I suppose there's the observation deck, which is about it's a lot smaller than the hold, but this is probably the second largest space on the ship. Any particular preference?
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like with my power, I don't really need to be in it doesn't really matter,
Right.
like, the size space, but if other people are also there and want, have preferences, like, I was thinking whoever was available, like, if Bina wanted to try out something or any, like, I just, we
Bina
haven't
would definitely
really
come and fuck around with you. Yeah.
we haven't really
1000%.
played around with, like, what we can do or not yet, because we've really only done it in, life and death circumstances. So I don't know. I also think Bina would probably have more of, like, a testing mind of it, like a more like, these are some tests we should run and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think anytime if Bina's not like running stuff, making sure everything's okay and not helping like Olem with that, would 100% be down to fuck around in the cargo hold.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cargo hold sounds good.
Okay, so basically, as the two of you are just sort of standing, just sort of like trying to figure out what to do, Jade is like sitting.
Where should we start?
He's like sitting perched on a crate, just like watching you both. Like,
Yes.
Jade, what should we do first?
I don't know. Do you? I mean, wait. He looks at Bina. He's like, "Do you have superpowers too?"
Oh, wait.
She does the hand. She puts a light handprint on his like shoulder.
He looks down.
That's as much.
Whoa.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. I think he's probably seen that one before.
Yeah. He's like trying to like. He's like looking at it. He's like, it doesn't come off.
And then I'll time it so that when he like the next time he runs his hand over it, it goes away with it.
Oh my God,
Whoa.
yeah.
Oh. He like just sort of sits and just watches. It's like, I don't know. I mean, you make light, I guess. So maybe try to do light things. I don't know.
Good suggestion. I think that's a good
Very
suggestion.
helpful.
Could you try to like project a light on an entire object? Like, could you make like an entire like crate glow or something? Or I don't know.
I'm looking at the ability.
I know. I'm like, I don't have mine up either. I'm just winging it.
An object.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't
So
specify the size.
they'll kind of like take all four of her hands and kind of go like like rope together really fast, and then put her hands on the box and see if she can make the whole thing light up.
Yeah. You put your hands on it and kind of doing the same sort of thing. You watch. Peach, you watch as like Bina's bioluminescence just sort of starts glowing up brightly, and as it does, you can see it very strongly concentrated around her hands. And as she pulls her hands away, the entire crate is just sort of glowing brightly.
Okay, that one's new. That's cool.
So neat.
Not much use for it, but fun party trick. And she's gonna kind of like look at it from all angles to make sure she got the whole thing, full coverage.
Yeah, the whole thing just seems to be emitting its own light.
Whoa.
Neat.
I wonder how they thought they were going to use that in warfare.
I mean, from what I understand, from what we've heard from everybody, is that one, it's not on purpose.
True.
I don't think they pick, and two, things develop. So after they brainwash you or whatever, you get more control
More
and-
power, maybe.
and you grow in power. That's
Huh.
what I'm getting from it, but
See, as you get eviler, you
Well,
get stronger.
hopefully that's not the case because I
That's
don't have
not-
any intention to get
Yeah.
eviler from here on out.
Yeah, so who knows? It could go anywhere. Ooh. And I wanted to try to do something, but I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm just staring at the glowing box.
Yeah. Jade looks at you, Peach, and he says, "Now you do one." Says, "You made a thing before that I could see.
Yeah.
Can you make something really scary?"
I think so. I think that unfortunately the first thing that would come to mind is probably the warped, which is not like a good thing, but that's like where Peach's mind would immediately go, and I think like that, like I think it just instinctually, like her mind kind of latches onto it, and like that's what projects.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be I don't think it would be a very big projection of it. Like I think it would be pretty small because we're tier 1, but
Yeah.
Or it's like big, but it's pixelated.
yeah, like it's big, but it like doesn't look super real.
It's like got JPEG artifacts in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Peach, as he says that, you think your mind immediately goes there, and you look, and immediately, as you're all the three of you standing there watching, you actually see as a humanoid shape just starts to form right there in the middle of the hold. You see a human shape, like not even defined. Even the species is difficult to tell. The one thing that is very clear is the glowing green eyes, and the hunched posture, as the head slowly turns towards all of you, and you watch like it's bizarre. You're looking at it and you can see the roughly humanoid shape, but like the outsides of it seem jagged, almost as if watching like distortion on a monitor. Like you're seeing like this sort of like just sort of flickering like distortion, and even the creature's movements reflect that same kind of like jerky sort of distortion, sort of as it moves. Jade, you hear Jade gasp and fall backwards like over one of the crate as he's like pushes himself away. You can see as he's pushing himself up to the bulkhead, like right up against
I
it.
think Bina would like instinctually like reach out to him if she feels like that spike of fear.
Yeah, you
And
feel
she
it.
would, she would, she would immediately like probably reach out to him.
Yeah.
I'm
and,
gonna
like, hold on to
try
him.
and can I like get it to move? Like, can I move it? Can I move it up so it's like going like leaning against the glowing crate or something? Like I just want to see if I can move it around at all, or if the image fades.
You kind of reach out and you struggle to sort of exert some sort of control. There's a moment as you recall you and Olem in his aunt's apartment as this creature burst in the door, and you recalling that moment, recalling your feelings in that moment, recalling Olem's feelings in that moment, which you could sense through the dream, you reach out for the thing, which suddenly stops and looks directly at you, and then slowly moves towards the crate and just sort of wraps itself around the crate. As you kind of exert your will over this projection.
I'm gonna kind of hold it for a second, and just kind of hold it and kind of look at it and just really study and just try to get a good understanding of like what this feels like and kind of how it all kind of goes. And I'm sure Peach is also probably like visibly a little bit scared, but like is still very focused. And then just like doesn't even say anything, but just like tries to snap her like both of her fingers and just have it be gone, like without saying anything.
Yeah.
Does it disappear?
It does. It's just gone.
Okay.
You can see Bina feel Jade physically, like you could feel him relax somewhat.
I want to say I think that during this, if Jade held fear through all of that, I think Bina's immediate instinct would be like a protection type of thing, like in her head, oh, I don't want Jade to be afraid. And I think like she would be trying to think of like, oh, okay, well, I can like put myself between him or whatever. But I think that
Yeah, you.
will probably with one of her probably, I think it's fast talk. A creature who isn't hostile towards you can take one reasonable action, and I think it would be she wants him to not be afraid anymore. Not in any like don't be afraid, but like a, oh, I don't want my friend to feel fear right
Right.
now.
As you you have that sort of initial like gut reaction, you glance over at him and you actually see him visibly relaxing, um, as he just sort of he kind of
Because she had like immediately reached for him or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
however that manifested.
I will say this, Bina, you immediately feel like a wash of not relief, not the kind of feeling you normally feel between transitions of emotion,
Uh-huh.
but just it's just suddenly,
cut?
yeah, hard cut. That fear is not there anymore, and he's just sort of like the memory of it is still there.
Yeah.
The memory of what just happened is still there, but he's just not afraid anymore. As he just sort of slowly stands up, just and he kind of stands up and pushes himself up against the bulkhead, using it for support. As he says, "Okay, I guess you can make something scary."
Yeah. And I think that Peach kind of turns around and like her eyes are a little unfocused.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost like she's still kind like I feel like to bring about any really strong nightmare or dream or anything, like she kind of goes into the dream space for a second.
Yeah.
And she's still kind of there.
Yeah.
You guys okay?
I'm fine.
Bina looks
Cool.
disoriented.
Cool. That was kind of neat.
Kinda, yeah. I'm kind of hungry. Do you guys want to eat something?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll save that one for special occasions.
Yeah.
We can collect everyone and
Yeah.
have a meal time.
Yeah.
I do think that at like multiple points during the next few days, Bina apologizes profusely to Jade for getting him hurt.
Yeah. He's always just like every time you bring it up, he's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. He says, it's okay. You did what you had to do to get us out.
I'm not used to piloting with other people in the craft, so I didn't think to like tell everybody. I'll do
Oh,
better.
No, that's okay. At least I won't need to be reminded to strap in anymore.
Yeah, but like you wouldn't have even known because I did like a barrel roll, Jade. You didn't even know it was coming. It was my fault.
Well, I'm just gonna always assume they're coming now, and
Okay, we'll work together to keep everybody safe.
okay.
Paranoid at the age of 18.
I imagine that this conversation right now is taking place around the table in the galley.
Yeah.
Which
for like the third time.
Yeah.
Probably.
Which in our last scene for tonight, you all are sort of like sitting around this table in the galley. Mason having finally emerged from the crew quarters to have a bit of a drink and some food, and Abriel who's currently like reaching across to like hand a bowl to Olem, as you're just sort of like serving yourselves, sitting there in the galley just sort of quietly serving yourselves and whatnot. Finally everybody having food in front of them. Jade just starts eating, just like wolfing down food. He's just like, this is good. He just goes,
I have my glasses sitting on the table, and I have two little tools, like a little micro spanner and a gyrochromatic hexagonator, and I'm like messing with my glasses, and I'm grabbing food off the plate with my mouth and eating it.
As you're all seated around the table, Abriel just sort of clears her throat and just says, so it's come to my attention that there's a lot of weird shit on this ship.
I would say that is an understatement, but continue.
Something that she kind of nods over at Zaya. She says something that our guest was telling me is something to do with some sort of genetic resequencing or something, genetic interference, let's say, by the corpse.
It tracks, yeah.
No, just curious. I mean, I knew I was in for some hectic times joining up with all of you, but I'll admit, even I wasn't prepared for whatever this is.
I mean, it wasn't like on purpose.
Well,
as far
I think
as I'm aware. I kind of look at everyone and be like, yeah, I don't think so.
well, I think
Well, somebody did it intentionally, but it wasn't us.
Yeah.
that's what I was
it
going to
wasn't
say.
us.
Well,
If you want us to lie down on your table and undergo some scans or something,
oh, I'll
the more we
definitely
know
be
about all of
taking-
this, the better.
I'll definitely be taking samples. It seems to me that even somebody as advanced in their technology as Silverbreak, even for somebody like them, mucking around with people's genetic code is a dangerous proposition at best. It might be good to know from a medical standpoint what you're all in for.
Yeah, yeah, I'm on board
That's a
with
good
that.
point. Do you have the necessary equipment here?
The short answer, no. The long answer, definitely not. But I can make do with what I've got here. It won't give
Did we
me.
pick up anything on 43?
If you can find something, and if you have the credits for it, the kind of equipment that I need is pretty expensive. But I have. The only difference is going to be just in terms of the depth of the analysis. I can do what I need to do at a basic level, just above a basic level, and at least tell you if there's any danger to your physical or mental health as a result of whatever happened to you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. I take that back. Just your physical health. I'm not a psychologist. But at the very
Fair.
least, I can tell you if anything's going to cause any sort of cranial distress.
Ooh, we love the sound of that.
Not when it's happening, you wouldn't. Anyway, I'll start getting whoever I can into sickbay as soon as I can and start running tests. I'll have to set everything up, but it should be able to start running those in the next day or so.
Thanks.
Into it.
She just goes back to her food. Zaya just sort of takes a drink, just sort of sets it on the table. She says, well, I, for one, am feeling very optimistic about all of this.
That's good.
I mean,
Me too, Zaya.
she points at Olem and she says, I watched him do whatever that was with my... Did you see that? She points at you, Bina. She says, did you see that? Did you see what he did?
Which one?
I don't even know how to... I was running from cover, and I know that those mercs can shoot, but none of their shots hit me. They was just like in some sort of warped field around me. They were just getting projectiles getting caught up. I saw the laser get bent away from me like that. That was impressive.
Wait.
It's just gravity.
Olem, you didn't come
yes.
to our little experiment, our little training session.
What?
Oh my god.
I wasn't
What if we can-
invited. I
what
was
if we
working on
can-
this.
Figure out some like fastball specials. If Olem can manipulate light with gravity, and I can make light, I don't know where I'm going with this, but there's something there.
But we could figure it out. What better way to kill time as long as we don't punch a hole in the inside of this ship?
Okay, maybe there are better ways to spend time.
Jade has like he's watching all of this back and forth. Like there's food still on his fork as he's just like watching this whole thing with just this huge grin that's just growing on his face. He just says, "This is so cool." He just keeps eating food.
I'm glad it's not just like one of us who, got genetically modified. I feel like it'd be pretty lonely.
I'm glad it wasn't just one of us that woke up. So, yeah.
It's nice to have some people in the same ship, and to have a ship.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alma.
Thanks, Alma.
Mason just sort of looks up at you confused and then just doesn't say anything. Just takes a drink.
The new god that we're all worshiping. You weren't invited.
Oh, he was
to-
definitely there. I said everyone was in the bridge
All
when
right,
I
all
did
right.
the rundown.
All right, everybody,
here.
sit down, and we're gonna thank Alma for this
We're gonna
food.
thank Alma for no.
Mason, put your fork down.
Nah.
Zaya.
No.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think Peach has also probably been very hostess, refilling glasses, trying to make everyone feel comfortable. She's trying to have everyone just really enjoy their night because
She's doing what she's good at. She does what she knows.
she just yeah.
Semblance of normalcy.
Yeah, and yeah, that's all. I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say.
Zaya leans forward and she says, "Well, in times like this, there is an important tradition to observe that we have yet not." She stands up and she says, "I'm told this is a tradition on human vessels, although." She kind of glances around. She walks over and she reaches into one of the crates that's just recently been brought in, and she pulls out a bottle of some sort. Just you're not entirely sure what it is. As you look at it, it seems to be some sort of not like champagne or anything like that, but it's just sort of like a bottle of some sort of clear alcohol. As she says, it's not the same, but she says, "So, Awakener, it seems our ship has a name."
That she does.
All right. Well, I've never done this before. I've always wanted to, but here we go. And she just she takes the bottle and she just sort of cracks it on the bulkhead. It just sort of splashes and just says, "There we are, christened." I think that's how that works.
I
Awaken.
think so too.
Somebody told me about it once, and I just I always wanted
But
to.
you got it.
I always wanted to break a bottle in a context other than a bar fight. So
Nice.
Seems wasteful.
yeah, I don't get it either. It's I'm told it's a human thing, but
I've never heard of it,
I
but
think
you're
the-
probably
I think
right.
Bina's probably the only other one who's heard of this tradition.
Yeah.
I think the idea is to have something bad happen on the ship for something to break, and then it can only go up from there.
oh, well, that kind of makes sense. But I feel like a lot of bad stuff has happened on this ship already, or to the ship anyway.
Yeah.
Extra luck for the future.
Jade goes, "You can say that again." He says, I was actually thinking about some of that extra stuff that we found down in the engine room, stuff that shouldn't have been there, and it makes sense if there's an AI core on the ship somewhere.
Oh. They're not redundant. They're powering something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Ever since you brought it up, I was thinking about it, and it makes sense.
Good catch.
Well, how does this connect to that weird room we found then? That looked like the dwelling place of like a biological person. No offense, Alma.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen it myself, but I've seen it. I haven't been in there. Mason just sort of taps his notebook which is on the table. He says, "I've been looking into it." That's it. I haven't found anything yet. I've just been looking into it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
All right.
Fair. We'll work on it. On the to-do list.
Um, Zaya says, "Well, one thing's for sure. There's certainly no lack of mystery around all of this. Around you, the ship, everything else.
Which means we have so many answers to still find.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of looking at it." She just looks over. Mason, quit hogging that. And she like holds out her glass, and Mason just pours.
Yeah, Bina will lift her cup and say, "To the Awakener."
The Awakener.
And the Awakener.
The Awakener.
Oh yeah, I have an
And
actual
her
thing.
new crew. Yeah.
Yes.
And her new crew.
And her new crew.
And a new crew.
So, with that, as you all sharing your first calm moment where your world is in chaos. Everything you've known is behind you, at least for the time being. You've awoken into this new reality. It's a new paradigm. But for the first time since all of this, something inside you makes you feel like maybe not every part of this is bad. And as you all continue to take your meal together, just talking about things that aren't pertinent to genetic alterations and ships and potentially coming wars and ancient artifacts and the corpse, that's where we're going to pick up next week. So,
I wanted a good family dinner.
What
That's all
a
I
good
wanted.
session, you guys.
Yeah, that was very good.
all right.
I miss Freeman, but
No,
Be back.
feel better. We miss you.
Freeman.
I hope
We
he's
miss
back
you.
next week.
Yeah, he's been in the chat. I can see the. So. Yeah. All right. Well, that was our episode. A lot of stuff
Oh my
happened. Oh man, Gemini Lightning! I'm so glad you were able to catch us live tonight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hopefully, it was a small silver lining in everything else that's been kind of going on.
Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. I think we have sort of briefly talked about this, but never said anything officially. But this week, I think we're not going to do Ramblemancy. So we're not going to have anything happening on Friday. We'll just sort of be taking that as a break. It's time for us to just sort of
Social distancing.
social distancing. Yep, exactly. If we, yeah, if I felt confident about it, I would say that we could try to do it remotely. But I know that Freeman doesn't have the setup for that at home, and it would just be a logistical nightmare. So I think right now we're just going to go ahead and say that we're not going to have Ramblemancy this week. Gemini says just do another random gaming stream like you did Monday. Maybe we'll see. It's funny. I was telling Caitlin this and John. I was telling them that solo streaming for that long, I underestimated how much it was going to take it out of me. I was surprised. Like by the middle of the stream, I was just like, man, I don't even know if I have the energy to do the rest of this.
Welcome to my sphere of the internet.
Yeah. Listen, they don't tell you this when you start streaming. They don't tell you how. Anyway, yeah.
Everything is harder than you think.
They didn't teach you that in streaming
No,
school.
they did not.
That's why
You
I
learn
do
it from the
before
streets.
So I do it before I'm ready to go to bed because it gets me sleepy and ready to go ready to knock out.
Perfect.
So we'll see. We'll see about Friday. Somebody will make sure to keep your eye on like the Discord, on Twitter, on those sorts of things, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how we're feeling that day, and maybe we can whip something up. So, but for now, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Geekout says Mass Effect playthrough. Don't.
Will you please
don't
play through the whole
tempt me,
trilogy on Friday?
Yes,
God, what a good series.
as Amethyst Cat Lady says, step up and stay home.
Exactly.
Step up and step in.
Nope, don't do that. Don't step in. Don't step in anywhere. Just stay home.
That's okay. That's what I meant.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us
Good
tonight.
night.
Everybody stay healthy, stay safe, stay positive. Most
Pet
importantly,
your pets. They're very happy to have you home.
yes. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.